Mrs. Cantwell?
Here.
Ms. Franklin?
Here.
Mrs. Beduti?
Here.
Mr. Heisman?
Here.
Ms. Lamb?
Here.
Ms. Maddie?
Here.
Mrs. Russ?
Here.
Mr. Schumann?
Here.
Mr. Zabrowski?
Here.
Dr. Macri?
Here.
Dr. McLean?
Here.
Ms. Arnesta?
Here.
Ms. Berry?
Here.
Mr. Pisano?
Here.
Mrs. Bennington?
It's on her way.
Okay.
She's coming from PTO.
Mr. Butwell? Ms. Cochiola?
Here.
Mrs. DeMauro?
Here.
Mrs. DeTuno?
Absent.
Mr. Cuckle?
Here.
Mr. LeMay? Mrs. Prestash?
Here.
Ms. Middlebrooks?
Here.
Ms. O'Leary?
Here.
Ms. Shepherd?
Here.
Ms. Talmont?
Here.
Mrs. Weispool?
Here.
Marcel?
Here.
Jacob?
Here.
Jillian?
Here.
And Summer?
Here.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. Everybody should have an agenda in front of them. I just have one quick addition to the agenda is that when we finish our regular board meeting, I'd like to ask members of the Superintendent Search Committee to please stay, and we'll have a quick meeting right after this meeting, and I promise it won't be long. And then just a note, Lisa, moving forward under liaisons, we have to add the Public Asset and Facilities Committee moving forward because we now have a board liaison to that group. I need approval of the agenda, please, so may I ask for a motion? Matt Allen. Thank you. Onto correspondence, we did receive several letters, most of them you all received as well. I think some of those are going to be shared as part of our public comment period. Those that aren't going to be shared in public comment period, well, all of them, we'll make sure to include with the minutes of the meeting. The public comments we received were specifically about class sizes at Edna Stevens School. And we'll hear some of those read tonight. Onto public comment. Is anyone here to make a public comment? If you are, just raise your hand so I can get a sense. Okay. I'm gonna read the rules for public comment. I know, Mrs. Demetriadis and I, it's her favorite part of the meeting. I will read these just so everybody can hear them, but really important, if you go off these rules, I'm gonna have to stop you. So I will try to read this quickly, but make sure that you can hear. Individuals are welcome to address the Board of Education for up to 3 minutes each. Oh my gosh, this is cut off. During public comments portion of the meeting, but board members will not generally engage in dialogue. The Board of Education chair may, at her discretion, extend the time for public comment. Speakers must come to the podium and share your name and address. Public comment is for residents of the town of Cromwell or those representing our unions, presidents of our unions, which is under special permission, so we've already had that discussion. To facilitate efficient sharing of your comments, we encourage you to share any comments you may have about instruction, discipline, or learning materials first with your student's teacher, then principal, and followed by the superintendent before bringing the comments to the Board of Education. However, if you do not believe your comments have been addressed appropriately, or if you believe that they should be shared with the Board of Education for any other reason, please feel free to do so. Any complaints or concerns about individual Cromwell BOE employees should be directed to the superintendent and the BOE in writing, rather than in public comment at Board of Education meetings. All comments must not include personal attacks, and comments cannot be discourteous, threatening, vulgar, or otherwise inappropriate. The board chair may, at her discretion, curtail any public comments or terminate any such individual's privilege of address at any time if they violate these rules, violate reasonable standards of decorum, are boisterous, or are repetitious. The Board of Ed reserves the right to limit public comments to particular topics. The Cromwell Board of Education values the well-being of our students and families. Those electing to make public comments at Cromwell Board of Education meetings are strongly discouraged from sharing identifiable information of their children in such comments, including but not limited to the name, age, and learning ability, and are reminded that any comments made during a Cromwell BOE meeting become a permanent matter of public record and may be accessible by individuals in the future. As such, any person making public comments during a Cromwell BOE meeting is solely responsible for the information they choose to share. We kindly ask that you consider the privacy of your family and your children while making comments. Thank you for your patience as I read that. Again, may I see a show of hands so that we can start? Okay, I'm gonna go first row over and then we'll just loop around. So, Mrs. Demetrius, do you wanna go? And then we'll go down your row?
Hi, Linda Demetriadis.
Mrs. Demetrius, just turn your mic.
Oops.
7 Bonnie Brio, Cromwell, Connecticut. Good evening. I'm here today as a Cromwell Public School employee of 20 plus years to strongly advocate for the retention of our first grade teacher. It has come to my attention that this position is being eliminated due to attrition and budget adjustments. Losing a classroom teacher and reducing the number of first grade classes from 7 to 6 will lead to larger class sizes, which will place an unfair burden on our other first grade teachers. This will compromise the quality of individualized attention to our 6 and 7-year-olds. Also, we need to realize that several special education students will be grouped in a cluster within these 6 classrooms. We need to be adding additional support, not increasing classroom size. I urge the Board of Ed to explore all possible alternatives to retain this first grade classroom. Thank you for your time and continued commitment to our students.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the front row? Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Kosinski. I reside at 12 Black Hall Drive here in Cromwell. I'm speaking on behalf of, I'm a little nervous. I'm both an educator in a public school setting outside of Cromwell and also a parent of 2 children that attend Cromwell Public Schools. I'm also here to advocate for the first grade classroom position, just having a student myself in kindergarten and understanding that smaller class sizes results in more benefits for students. Before making decisions, I just want you to consider student performance. I was reviewing the documents that were linked in the agenda, and everything talked about enrollment, projected enrollment, Cromwell population, and things like that. But one thing that I didn't see was student performance. How are our current kindergarten students performing in school? Are 90 or 100% of those students excelling? Are they reading at or above grade level or performing at or above grade level in math? If the answer is no, why would we cut a classroom? How will that improve those students' academic outcomes? Research consistently shows that smaller class sizes impact student achievement, student engagement, and as well as social emotional growth. And important to also consider is that usually has a high positive impact on our more minority populations, our students with IEPs, our students that are multilingual learners, our choice students. So there are many students who might not be of the majority population who really thrive in a smaller classroom setting. So I think reducing the classes from 7 to 6 can have a negative impact on those students. We also need to think about just social emotional well-being. These students are used to, the class sizes that they currently have. Teachers are able to develop trust and build relationships and get to know their students. Peers can get to know one another, learn from one another, and develop a positive classroom community that becomes more difficult to do in a larger class size. So I just really I know that budget is always a concern in education, and resources are tight now more than ever. But I still, I'm here just to urge the board to consider that and prioritize maintaining the current class numbers that we have. It's not just about numbers, but about giving our kids the best quality education and the best foundation for their futures. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the first row? We good? Second row? Thanks.
Good evening.
Just turn the
My
mic
name
back
is
on.
Lynn. Oh,
Here we go. Good evening. My name is Lynn Scamperino, 48 Prospect Hill Road. I am a paraeducator at ECS and a parent of a 5th grader at West. Our students' needs in both Gen Ed and SPED are at an all-time high. Our students need extra support. We need to look at the needs of the students and not the enrollment numbers. Smaller class sizes are most beneficial to both teachers and students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
evening, everybody. Can you hear me? If I get too loud, I'm very sorry. I am a teacher first, so if my teacher voice goes on too high, just tell me to tune it down. No, we'll be fine. Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Cromwell Public Schools community. Thank you for the time, your thoughts, responsibilities you bring to decisions that impact our students and schools. On behalf of the teachers
So
of
sorry, can you just tell us your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Georgianne Stokes, 36 Lincoln Road. Okay. So on behalf of the teachers of Edna C. Stevens, respectfully urge you to take a second look at the recently approved budget and consider reallocating funds to preserve the first grade classroom at Edna C. Stevens. We understand that revisiting a budget requires difficult decisions and creative problem solving. However, with Cromwell receiving an additional $520,405 in supplemental state education funding, we believe there is an opportunity to align budget decisions with the district's commitment to placing students first. First grade is a foundational year for literacy, math, independence, and social emotional growth. It is the year students transition from learning basic reading skills to becoming readers, from understanding numbers to solving problems, and from needing constant guidance in becoming more independent learners and classmates. At the same time, the needs of our youngest learners have changed significantly. Today's classrooms include students navigating anxiety, trauma, food insecurity, housing instability, ADHD, behavioral challenges, and other social emotional needs that directly affect learning. Our support staff work tirelessly, but their caseloads continue to grow, leaving classroom teachers increasingly responsible for balancing academics for all students, while also providing support to the students whose needs require immediate attention. Before learning can happen, students must feel safe, supported, and ready to engage. I thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Hello? Can you hear me? Kind of tall. I'm Elizabeth Gaudino. I live on 7 Edgewood Street, Cromwell, and I have 2 high school students that come here. 1 freshman, 1 junior, and I'm a teacher in 2nd grade for 23 years. And I need these right now, so. I'm getting at the age, 23 years. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. I recognize the complexity of the decisions before you and the responsibility of balancing fiscal constraints with the needs of the district. These are not easy choices, and I appreciate the thoughtful consideration that guides your work. I come before you not only as an educator, but as someone who sees every single day what our youngest learners need in order to succeed, and what happens when we are stretched too thin to fully meet those needs. Cromwell Public Schools is committed to fostering an equitable culture of continuous improvement, where we value and meet students' academic, physical, and social emotional needs. These are not just words, they are commitments that begin in our earliest grades, where the foundation for literacy, problem solving, and self-regulation is built. Over the past decade, our primary class sizes have ranged from approximately 21 students to as few as 14. However, the most significant shift has been in the level and complexity of students' needs within each classroom. Today, more students require targeted academic intervention, behavioral support, and social emotional care than ever before. At the same time, specialized instructional support personnel are managing increased caseloads, making it more challenging to consistently deliver services at the level students require. As a result, there has been a significant shift in responsibility to general education teachers. We're not only delivering core instruction, but implementing interventions, differentiating across a wide range of abilities, supporting emotional regulation, collaborating with specialists,
and ensuring that every student is progressing at their own learning capacity. Eliminating a classroom position will increase class sizes and further intensify these demands. While educators remain deeply committed, there are practical limits to what can be sustained effectively within a single classroom. Larger class sizes reduce opportunities for individualized instruction, limit meaningful interactions, and make it more difficult to respond to each student's unique needs in a timely and impactful way. This reality challenges our commitment to providing a rigorous and equitable educational experience and ensuring a safe, supportive, and engaging learning environment. Equity is not about equal numbers. It is about meeting students where they are and providing what they need to be successful. This impacts all students. It affects the child who needs additional support to build foundational skills, as well as the child who is ready for enrichment and deeper learning. Every student benefits from a classroom where their teacher has the time and capacity to truly know them and respond to them. If we truly believe in high expectations, continuous
You're over
improvement-
3. If you could just try to summarize.
Sure, well, I'm at the end anyway.
Okay.
Preparing students to become contributing members of a dynamic global society, then we must ensure the structures are in place to make that possible. In the end, budgets reflect priorities, and this decision will show whether we are truly prioritizing the needs of our youngest learners at the moment they need us most. Thank you for your time and your leadership and your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Karen Ambler. I reside at 10 Wildwood Road. I have had the privilege of being an educator here in Cromwell for 36 years. During my tenure, I have seen a great deal. I've seen curriculum changes come and go, and then most of the time they get rebranded and come back. I have seen new schools erected, and I have seen other buildings torn down. I've seen great joy, and I've also sadly witnessed tragedy, grieving students and teachers. I've seen a lot. However, during the past 36 years, I have never seen the needs of our children be so great and so diverse. Never. To support the social and emotional and behavioral needs of our young learners, we have now IRR, SROs, BCBAs, RBT, ABAs. These are familiar terms, and yet now they have become part of our daily vernacular. The point is simple. We are raising and educating children today in a different time, and we must act accordingly. During this year's budget process, there was a cut made to the first grade classroom, and it was a classroom. I have heard and have read on town social media that it was through attrition because because the substitute teacher was not renewed. However, in doing that, that classroom goes away. And I want to make that abundantly clear because I've read on social media that there hasn't been any change in the number of teachers. Yes, indeed, there have been. This is a reduction. As all of us know, these are foundational years, for our young learners. I urge you, as you've heard this evening, to look past the number of students in the classroom, and even though they will invariably go up, and please look at what they represent. In my job as a preschool teacher at Edna Stevens School, to tell you the truth, I might not be directly impacted by this change. However, I am here tonight because of who will be impacted, and that is the children. You know the Lorax, he speaks for the trees. Tonight I am the Lorax and I speak for the children. Please do what is right. My history in Cromwell has also taught me what happens more often than not when a classroom is cut. We do not often, if ever, put it back. So instead tonight we have the opportunity to engage in forward thinking and looking ahead. Even if the numbers are low, on the low side next year, number one, they won't likely stay that way because of the projected kindergarten numbers the year after. And number two, even if the numbers are dipped a little bit this year, why don't we value that? Why aren't we celebrating that? Children deserve more time with their teachers, more dedication to specific learning styles that they need, strategies that they need, more connection, more personalized instruction,
Mrs.
more
Amber,
needs being met.
Can you summarize?
I am,
Alright,
thank you.
perfect.
I basically just wanted to say thank you. And just as the children need us, tonight we need you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment? Do I see a hand in? Oh,
Good evening. Sarah, sorry, yep. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Sarah Sherman, 13 Scott Lane. I'm an educator in a neighboring district, and I also have a child at ECS in WIS. And I've always been so proud of the great education that my kids have received at ECS and WIS. I think Cromwell is really a hidden gem in the small class sizes that you've had, and the ability that my students, my children, have had in those smaller class sizes to really benefit from individualized instruction from their teachers, differentiation, just the social emotional programs that the teachers of Cromwell run are really amazing. I've been so proud of that as a parent and also as an educator. And I think at the last Board of Ed meeting, someone commented that you guys are really poised in a special place to maintain those small class sizes. I think if you would consider keeping 7 rather than going down to 6, even though there is a dip, keeping that class maintained, allowing teachers to meet the needs of all learners is a really special opportunity, and just keeps the quality of Cromwell public education high. You know, this is a great investment in our community, and I'm so proud to live in Cromwell because of the quality of our public schools. Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone left that would like to provide a public comment?
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. My name is Lee Newman, and I am the president of the Education Association of Cromwell. I represent 180 certified educators who every day do their best to place students first. If a first grade classroom is eliminated, it is not just those first grade students and teachers who will be affected. The district will feel the effects for years to come. The early elementary years are critical for learning to read so that by the time students reach their high school years and beyond, they are reading to learn. The state legislature has just announced an increase in state funding for the next fiscal year for boards of education, and Cromwell is slated to receive nearly $500,000. If the board makes the prudent decision to reinstate the first grade classroom for next year, that teacher's salary represents less than 14% of that additional funding. In fact, that teacher's salary is less than 0.2% of the total budget. Before last November's municipal election, the EAC sent out a questionnaire to candidates for the Board of Education. Those candidates who responded mentioned the need to listen to us and to ensure we have the necessary resources to do our jobs. If the board's priority is placing students first, then the right decision is to use a portion of those funds and keep the first grade classroom. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. My name is Dr. Alicia Ferris, and I'm at 53 Lincoln Road in Cromwell. I stand before you tonight not only as a community member and parent, but as someone who's dedicated the last 20 years of my professional life to elementary education in this district and beyond. I've served as an elementary administrator for the past 9 years, and prior to that, I spent 9 years here in Cromwell Public Schools teaching at ECS as a first grade teacher, second grade teacher, and a K-2 literacy consultant. A large portion of my career was spent teaching first grade, so I know firsthand what it takes to provide the high quality instruction and support to our youngest learners in this community. I'm here tonight in strong support of maintaining the 7th first grade classroom and not eliminating the position. First grade is one of the most critical years in a child's educational journey. It is the year when students are expected to transition from learning foundational skills to applying them independently. At the same time, teachers are managing an incredibly wide range of academic, behavioral, and social emotional needs. In a single first grade classroom, you may have students learning letter sounds sitting beside students who are already reading fluently and navigating complex text. You may have students receiving special education services, students learning English, students needing behavioral support, and students navigating significant emotional needs. All while the expectation is that teachers are differentiating instruction for each individual needs within and across all content areas. Research, because I'm sure you'll hear a lot about that, including a meta-analysis spanning across 300 plus studies, consistently demonstrates that smaller class sizes in the primary grades lead to stronger student outcomes. Studies find that students in smaller K-3 classrooms make greater gains in reading and mathematics achievement, particularly students who are at risk academically. There are also long-term benefits, including higher graduation rates and increased enrollment in advanced coursework later on. But beyond the statistics, smaller class sizes change the daily reality of teaching and learning. Smaller class sizes allow teachers to provide more targeted small group instruction, more individualized feedback, and more responsive interventions within the classroom. They create the time and space for restorative conversations, explicit modeling of behaviors and content, and meaningful relationship building with students and families. They allow teachers to truly differentiate in ways that research tells us are essential. And this allows us to provide equitable access to the general education curriculum for all students. Our primary teachers today are being asked to implement numerous district initiatives and curricula simultaneously. Phonological awareness, right? Phonics, reading comprehension, vocabulary, writing, math, science, social studies, while also expected to meet every child exactly where they are developmentally. That work is extraordinarily complex. Smaller class sizes make that work more manageable and more effective. Again, research on early literacy intervention is especially clear. Students who struggle with reading in the primary grades are likely to continue struggling in subsequent years.
I'm gonna ask you to wrap up, please. Thank you.
So smaller class sizes provide teachers with the ability to deliver an exceptionally high level of focused instruction. I've personally seen the benefits of this as my kindergarten daughter started the year receiving interventions in both reading and math and has exited those interventions and is exceeding benchmarks because of the small group instruction Mrs. Shea has been able to provide within the classroom. So our youngest learners deserve a small class size and deserve to be set up for success. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here to provide a public comment? Okay. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your thoughts and insights with us. I'm going to move on to celebrating our faculty and staff. I'm going to ask Dr. McLean and Dr. Visone from Central to please join us at the podium.
Good evening, everyone. So this is an opportunity that I love each year that we do. I helped oversee the Teacher Leadership Academy, which is a fantastic group of teachers that get together and we provide some PD and they do some projects that you're going to hear about later. I partner with Dr. Jeremy Bizone from Central Connecticut State University, and he's just going to give you a little bit of a background on our group and what we've done over the last couple of years.
Thanks, Dr. McLean. Good evening, everybody. Before I get started and introduce myself, I just really quickly want to offer my congratulations to Dr. Macri on your well-deserved retirement. You'll be missed. Thank you so much for your support of our children in Cromwell. I'm also a parent here, as well as supporting our Teacher Leadership Academy. We appreciate it. So, as Dr. McLean said, my name is Jeremy Visone. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Education, Leadership, and Instructional Technology at Central Connecticut State University, where I prepare future leaders of public schools. I'm a former school principal myself. And our Teacher Leadership Academy, believe it or not, this, for those of you who have been to these meetings before in May, this is actually our 10th year of doing this. Pretty exciting. We've been doing this for a decade here in Cromwell. We have a special relationship with Central, and this is one of the manifestations of that. But as Dr. McLean said, we give professional learning to volunteer teachers. I want to emphasize that. These are teachers that are kind of stepping up and doing something that they don't have to do. They're spending their time to work with us, to learn about leadership, and then apply it to projects of interest to them and need in their own schools. So we're super proud of the program, And again, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn it back to Dr. McLean so we can recognize some of our Teacher Leadership Academy participants.
Okay, so I'm going to go through these projects. We did have some great projects this year, and this is a culmination of a year or more's work because some of the members have been on this team for more than 1 year. This is about us. We have anchor lessons, an Envirothon club, creating collaborative curriculum, and a writing club, and we'll tell you a little bit more about those. First, I'm going to have Brian Calhoun come up. Brian worked on some warm-up activities and shared some collective resources with the middle school teachers in order to foster some common language with the staff and across the disciplines that aligned with district and state assessments, and anything from figurative language to literary analysis and to grammar and usage, all those very exciting things. Our middle school is working on they're a STEAM middle school, and we're working on interdisciplinary collaborations, and so this was helpful in carrying over language across disciplines and within our English department as well across grade levels. All right, next is Stacy Houle. This is a really, really cool opportunity that Mrs. Houle provided for our students to participate in the Envirothon Club, which provided curriculum and coaching and collaboration activities for our students. Last year, they attended the state competition and earned the Rookie of the Year. And this year, there are new members, so this club is growing. We're excited to see where they're going to go in future years. But we didn't have this before Mrs. Houle got this off the ground and running, so we're very lucky that our kids have this opportunity. All right, Mr. Chablowski. So Mr. Chablowski started working on a collaborative way to kind of know what other disciplines are doing. So like I said, we're really trying to create a STEAM curriculum and make that more interdisciplinary as time goes on. And so he's trying to create a document where people can record what they're doing and find an easy, at your fingertips way to find different collaborations between the content areas. So he's been working on that for 2 years. Yeah, for just about 2 years now, and like as anything else, it's a constantly changing document, but I think it has really been helpful in helping teachers get some resources at their fingertips as they're thinking about making things more interdisciplinary at the middle school. So thank you, Mr. And finally, Mr. Mark Bozeman, he couldn't be here tonight, but this is the second year of a writing club, so this is an opportunity for students. They did publish their first publication this year, and they have club members that work and create different pieces of creative writing, and they work to publish them. And so this is something I believe that was at the middle school years back, but has made a revival because of Mr. Bozeman's work. And so we're very excited that the kids have this opportunity to show their expertise in writing in middle school. This really is an exceptional group of teachers, and I enjoy working with them immensely. They really do think about what our students need, what our buildings need, what opportunities can we provide, and like Dr. Vizone said, it is entirely voluntary. So they come and they do these things, and they get some leadership training, and then work on these projects that really ultimately only benefit our students and our staff. So I really appreciate this group, and I really love working with them.
Thank you, Dr. McLean. Anybody have any comments or questions? We greatly appreciate all of your efforts to go above and beyond to enhance the experiences of our students. So thank you so much. All right, Mr. Clevell, I think you're up next.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Senora Williams, where are you? Come on up. Okay, so it's my distinct privilege here. So Christina is, she is a Spanish teacher here at Cromwell High School, but she is also so much more than that. This past year, recently, Christina was the recipient of the 2026 George A. Coleman Excellence in Equity Award, which is presented annually by CERC. She was nominated for her work as a change maker in our educational community and was honored at CERC's second annual awards night at the New Britain Museum of American Art. Now, Christina earned this recognition for outstanding leadership she has demonstrated at CHS. She has organized our International Fair, Diwali event, Eid events, the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, and so many more amazing events. Always seeking innovative, authentic learning experiences for students, she has created events that families and students deeply appreciate. In fact, this year, 2 families at our Eid event brought flowers to someone they had never met, except over via email, to express their deep gratitude for Senora Williams putting on and running that event. Thanks to Christina's efforts, our families and students feel seen and valued. These cultural events are thoughtfully planned and inclusive, providing a safe space for our students and families to share their traditions. Having attended most of these events, I can attest to their meaningful impact. Senora Williams is a dedicated professional who embodies our district motto of placing students first. Cromwell High School and our district are fortunate to have her. Our students and families clearly recognize her commitment to providing exceptional educational experience. And I could talk about Christina for days, but I'm going to leave it at that. Congratulations, Senora Williams. We just wanted to recognize you this evening.
Dr. Macri,
I will keep it short. I know you have a long night, but I am very humbled by this award. The families have been amazing, and honestly what's inspiring me more is my students, that they want to include Rocky Hill and invite other districts. So I'm like just so moved by them. They're literally the reason why I do it. No other reason. I mean, I just love chopping for food for them and having them literally it's just bringing people together to share that. The world's just so complex now, right? So like these are events that we really need to value and bring to the district, and we have a great district, right? We could go on days and change things, but it's really good to celebrate. So thank you, and thank you everybody, and trusting me with your children.
don't go anywhere, Mrs. Williams. You're not getting away with it, Daddy.
We'll talk later about your congratulations.
Right in front of everyone, for you, not me. Mrs. Williams was one of the very first teachers that I met when I came to Cromwell, and I said, this is really just too good to be true. She cannot possibly do all of these things for our children and for our staff and for our families and never get tired of doing it, and always consistently asking for more and more and more of how she can possibly help and bring the community together and make sure everyone feels special and valued and loved and appreciated for who they are. Mrs. Williams, one of my sad moments of leaving Cromwell, not my only, but one, there's a lot, but one big, real sad, I won't miss board meetings, I'm kidding. But I will really, truly would have loved, and I hope this will happen, and you deserve it so much, is that you will be Cromwell's District Teacher of the Year, because I know then you will be the State District Teacher of the Year. You are incredible, and I just cannot thank you enough for everything that you do. Receiving this award, you may not know, of course, we all know, is just we should have such pride that the district received this award through Mrs. Williams, because
I actually met Mr. Coleman at
awesome,
SCSU class when I was there, and it was a state school, and it was just amazing, and he just said, go make a difference, and go teach kids. If you don't like it, then you really shouldn't be doing it. And it's true. I mean, it's a difficult job, but it's actually really rewarding. And there's hard days, but you have to bring it in every day.
You tell me that every time I see you.
It's true, but the kids need to see that. We can't ask them for that and then not give it to them. So anyways, that's my motto, and I appreciate all your kind words. I'm humbled by it. Thank you.
You're the best.
Congratulations. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. We're going to move on to celebrating our students, and then we're also going to celebrate our students for the Cape Leadership Awards soon after, so we'll get them out of this meeting sooner rather than later.
Good
And
evening,
their
everyone.
parents, yes.
I am honored to introduce to you tonight our students who created, as you know or may know, I'll remind you, Mr. Kiss, as I call him, our student news extraordinaire instructor, every week has our students produce these amazing segments on information about what's going on in our school and so on and so forth. And it's always great for us to see what is happening in school, and he captures that regularly with our students. Well, tonight, I'm very proud, and I'll always be the proud principal of Cromwell Middle School. He's going to tell you about A Stage with a Story, and it's a segment that was actually aired on Fox 61 Student News. And I'd like to bring up Mr. Kiss, Miss Camilleri, and look at our dedicated student. She even left her softball game to get here on time. We have Brianna Romangelli and Courtney Vizone, and I'm going to let Mr. Kiss take it away.
Hello, my name is Doug Kiss, and I've been in Cromwell for about 27 years. And as Ms. Cochilla said, one of the things I do in my class is we do video production. We do a weekly TV show. And so I had these students, I had Courtney and Brianna back at the beginning of the year. My class ends, it's a quarterly class, and the class had ended back in October. And they were disappointed that they weren't going to be able to make any more videos for our YouTube channel. And I said, well, there is one project we can do. Ms. Cochilla mentioned Fox 61. They allow students in high schools and middle schools to produce stories that they actually put on television. The hardest part being coming up with the idea. So we brainstormed, and I had suggested we should do something about our new middle school, so then we kind of broke it down from there. And I asked them if they had been to the auditorium. And it was like October, and they were still a little, getting used to the building. And I mentioned that the auditorium is named after Michael Camilleri. And they had said, oh, like Miss Camilleri. I said, that in fact is his daughter, so wouldn't it be interesting if we did a story about the auditorium being named after him, and his daughter is the choir teacher, or the chorus teacher in that space. I explained to the students that he had passed away, and I'm sure it would be difficult for her to speak about that. And I said to myself that I had lost my father a few years prior, and if you put a camera in front of me, I don't think I would have answered your questions. So it's totally okay if Miss Camilleri would say no. So we asked her, and before we can finish, she said, I'm in. And she sat down with us for 45 minutes and answered a bunch of questions. That some of them were quite personal, and it would not have been possible without her involvement. So a round of applause for Ms. Camilleri. So there was just a small group of students involved. 2 of them are here. I'm going to first mention the ones that weren't here. William Kane, Daniel Hudak, and E.J. Solis. They worked behind the scenes. E.J. in particular, he came to the dedication ceremony, which I believe was back in January for the auditorium. There was a chorus concert, and he filmed that. And it is on our YouTube channel. If you went to it or you hadn't seen it, it's there for you. Sophia Shields, Brianna Romangelli, who's here. Ariana Tata and Courtney Vizone. We planned it when her dad was going to be here tonight. We figured that out. They asked Miss Camilleri the questions, which were personal and emotional, and she sat there and answered all of them. And if you can search it up on YouTube, it's called Stage with a Story. It was on Fox 61 in February, and we were told, oh, we're going to play it. Oh, well, there you go. And we were told that we were going to be nominated for Best Middle School Production, and if we win, the students, I believe, split $500. So there you go. And a round of applause, Ms. Camilleri.
Inside the brand new Cromwell Middle School, there is a stage with a story. The Cromwell Middle School auditorium is special to chorus teacher Megan Camilleri. Cromwell Middle School auditorium is dedicated to Miss Camilleri's late father, Michael, who served as chair of Board of Education for many years.
How the Board of Ed decided they wanted to name the auditorium after my dad, and I didn't really know what to think. I was kind of not really surprised, but I was really happy because he loved the arts.
There's no one that his legacy lives on, and this space brings us comfort. I'm so proud of my children who continue to honor their father in the creative work that they do every day. Tonight, we will be able to have the pleasure of seeing my daughter Megan, Miss Camilleri to many of you, conduct the choirs in the auditorium named after her dad.
Dad loved this motto that's not really translated into English well, but it's Latin and it's noblesse oblige, and it means to have much is to give much to people. He would be proud that I ended up doing what I wanted to do in life. I never have steered away from becoming a music teacher, and I always knew that's what I wanted to do from the time I was in middle school here. And he didn't get to see me graduate college, but I think he always knew that I would end up doing what I love, and I think it's extra special that I ended up working here where he kind of worked too.
Cromwell Middle School, this auditorium isn't just a performance space. It's a reminder of family, community, and the impact one person can leave behind. Cromwell, Connecticut, this is Sophia, Courtney, Brianna, and Ariana.
For Fox 61 Student News.
They said nothing could fix it.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
They left, so if you guys have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, can you guys come back up? You ran away so quickly.
It's just one question.
All right, Mr. Zabrowski has a question.
Will you let us know if they get the $500?
I was told we were the only middle school that submitted, so I think it's good.
You're rich, guys. There you go. Ms. Coachella, can I have you back up to the podium so that we can recognize our CAPE Student Leadership Award recipients? We will give you a second.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's always an honor to be able to present these students with this amazing award. And just so to give you a sense of how students are chosen, we have to follow the criteria. And it's based on leadership. How willing are these students to take on challenges, capability to make difficult decisions, concern for others, ability to work with others, willingness to commit to a project, diplomacy, ability to understand issues clearly, and ability to honor a commitment. You can see it's quite a tall order. And from there, the teams get together, the 8th grade team, and they choose a student from each team to receive this award. First, I'd like to call Calvin Forrest to the front, please. I'm going to say nice things about you. Come here. Okay. Your team of teachers said the following. Cromwell Middle School is fortunate to have Calvin Forrest as a student because each day he represents and models CABE leadership skills. He has earned the Student Leadership Award through his consistent example as an upstanding and resilient classroom leader. His tenacity is evident, not only in his willingness to take on challenges, but also in his capability to make decisions with maturity and diplomacy. Driven by a strong academic focus, he has an impressive ability to understand complex assignments with clarity and a strong willingness to commit to long-term projects. Furthermore, he is the most quintessential quintessential, oh my goodness, I need more coffee, team player. His ability to work collaboratively with his peers ensures that his leadership is not always about his own personal achievement. Calvin's growth mindset and pursuit of excellence easily qualify him as a very deserving recipient of the prestigious CABE Award. He's also very humble and modest. Now may I please have Andrew Matrullo please come to the front. Andrew, here's the nice things your team said about you. Ready? From your team of teachers, they say it's a distinct honor to present Andrew the CABE Award, as he truly embodies the spirit of leadership and well-rounded excellence at Cromwell Middle School. Whether leading food drives in the student council or demonstrating his music abilities as a saxophonist in both the CMS Jazz Band and the Northern Regional Music Festival, Andrew consistently sets a high bar for his peers. His commitment to the Cromwell community is equally impressive, balanced between the competitive drive shown in cross country, volleyball, Rebels basketball, and RCP baseball, and a heart for service displayed through volunteering at the Cromwell Belden Library. From calling bingo games for our seniors to mentoring younger athletes at the Joseph Riley basketball camp with the goal of becoming a counselor. I wish I was still around, I'd hire you. The student navigates every environment with maturity and poise. Above all, his compassion and desire to assist his classmates sets Andrew apart. Even at home, Andrew serves as a role model and a companion to his younger brother Matthew, proving that true leadership is rooted in his character. Congratulations. At that, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Andrew and Calvin. Mr. Cuckle.
Okay, I'd like to call Caden Falsigno. Come on up. Got it. I'm not going to embarrass you too much. Okay. So Caden is a passionate leader at Cromwell High School, driven by a singular mission: to leave his community better than he found it. As a student who pairs deep integrity with a relentless work ethic, he has transformed the school's culture through proactive advocacy and strategic planning. Caden identified a vital need for school inclusivity. He successfully met with administration to talk about the installation of the school's first gender-neutral bathroom, seeing the project through from proposal to completion. During this meeting, Caden did not simply identify a problem, he came up with multiple viable solutions. As the driving force behind the Student Equity Committee, Caden revitalized the organization by launching the inaugural Social Justice Week in 2025. This initiative involved months of cross-school collaboration, and when I say that, I mean it. We actually Caden attended a conference with Farmington High School students and actually visited Farmington High School to better understand what this event should be. Professional training and meticulous event design. To prepare for this event, Caden organized a site visit to Farmington High School and led the planning at CHS from beginning to end. As if that's not enough, Caden also flourished as a leader in our performing arts department, as a member of our elite choirs, our jazz band, and as a standout member of our all-school production. In fact, for his most recent role, you just received a Best Supporting Actor nomination, I believe, for essentially like the high school version of the Oscars. Right? Yeah. He has taken a leadership role with our underclassmen in all facets of his high school career. Carly Nelson, our choir director, said of Caden, he has made a lasting impact on our music program through remarkable achievement, strong leadership, and a genuine appreciation for the arts. Caden's legacy at CHS is one of lasting structural impact. He approaches every challenge with a genuine concern for others and an unwavering dedication to progress, qualities he is eager to bring to the next chapter in life at Wesleyan University, where he'll be majoring in English and theater. So congratulations, Caden Felsen. Okay, next up, Eva Artioli, whose softball game unfortunately was canceled. Senior night. You got one at bat though. Right, yeah, before we canceled. It's okay. Lightning. Okay. Eva is an exceptional scholar leader whose high-level academic performance is matched only by her ability to inspire and guide those around her. With a disciplined approach to her studies and a natural aptitude for problem solving, she has established herself as a pillar of both her school and local community. This past summer, Eva was admitted to the Naval Academy Leadership Training Program. During this selective summer program at the United States Naval Academy, Eva refined her command presence and self-assurance, honing the skills necessary to lead in high-pressure environments. Eva is a versatile leader in student government and a committed athlete. Eva bridges the gap between different campus organizations, modeling a relentless work ethic and dedication to the collective good. Her leadership is on display in athletics, student council, stage crew, and in the summer where she has dedicated her time as a camp counselor. Eva is more than a high achiever. She is a catalyst for growth in others. Coach Joe said of Eva, "She was one of those leaders who never needed the title because our athletes and council members saw the hard work and tenacity that she brought every day. She was willing to do the hard work even when it was not asked of her, because for her to give anything less than her best would sacrifice the trust that those who made her a leader gave to her." Powerful words there. Whether in the classroom, on the field, or looking toward the stars, see what I did? She leads with a steady hand and a commitment to excellence that leaves a lasting impact on every community she joins. Eva applied and was accepted into not one, but two service academies, the Naval Academy and Air Force Academy. In the summer, she will depart for the Air Force Academy as she continues to potentially pursue her dream, right, of becoming an astronaut. Congratulations, Eva Artioli, on this wonderful nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Cuckle, and congratulations, Eva and Caden. It's pretty impressive. Incredible, right? Okay, I'm gonna move us on to less exciting things for sure. Sorry to all of you who are liaisons to our town committees. We have reports of the liaisons from Town Council, Board of Finance, CMS Building Committee, and the Public Asset and Facility Committee. So let's start with Town Council, Mr. Zabrowski.
Sure. As one of the less exciting portions of this meeting, I've recently been informed.
Sorry, Matt.
I'm taking some punches to the ego tonight. Between you and Enza. I did attend the town council meeting last week. There was only a couple things of interest specific to this board. One of which is that there was a study done on the Wisp soccer field, the one that has the drainage issue. The outside consulting service made 3 recommendations, and the town team is leaning towards the third of the 3 recommendations. I believe the cost was, I want to say it was 1.2, but I feel like I read that it was higher somewhere else. So it's a significant investment, but it would improve the drainage and the functioning of the field. The town council at that point wanted to hold off and get some more information, and I believe they were going to invite members of that firm back to another meeting to hear some more about it. The other thing was that the town council was interested in our feedback on the new language, part of the CNR process, where if there was a savings somewhere, for example, we had $60,000 allocated to a project that wound up only costing 20, so there was 40 left over. There was some language developed that they were hopeful that we would discuss and consider either endorsing or not endorsing going forward. So that was the only other thing that really pertained to this board. I don't know stand on that. I know it didn't make the agenda. I don't know how discussion on that, but maybe I'll hit upon that in the
I think we're gonna let
in that
Mr.
portion.
Heisman share the proposal when he gives his update. if
Sounds
that's okay.
perfect. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Board of Finance, Mrs. Ross.
Yeah, there's nothing to report since they've approved, and the town approved the budget, so nothing as of right now.
Mrs. Lamb, anything from the building committee?
Yes, just a couple things from the building committee. So in our last meeting, we did vote to move forward and award a contract for the solar panels on the new middle school. The work will start this summer, and the majority of it will get done before school starts, but there will be a little bit that bleeds over into the beginning of the school year, so that was really good news. We also took a look at, there was a safety concern raised on the design of the softball fields and the level of the fencing. So we looked at a couple different options to improve that design and did move forward. And it's actually raising the level of the fencing, so it's up a little bit higher, protect the school, protect the fans and students. So that is going to move forward as well. And that's contingent on planning and zoning review. So just wanted to mention those couple things.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamb. Mr. Heisman.
So for the public facility and asset committee, we haven't had any meetings since our last Board of Ed meeting, so there's not a ton to update on there. We have finished our review of all the schools' site visits to see kind of what's going on in each school from a facilities perspective, and looking at potential projects for future projects and things that have wrapped up recently. And the next meeting for that group is Tuesday of next week. And then I will read the CNR allocation process that committee has put forward. It's pretty short, so for any capital project with an appropriation in the current fiscal year that is projected to have a surplus, that surplus should be identified as soon as there is a reasonable confidence in the remaining funds. Once identified, the surplus shall be returned to the CNR fund and made available for reallocation upon recommendation by the town manager, town council, and Board of Finance. Such funds may be appropriated to the following: the next highest priority planned capital project or emergency unforeseen priority capital needs. Eligible projects must be able to begin within the current fiscal year and must not exceed the available surplus amount. So, in short, the money will go back to the general fund if we all are okay with that, and then it'll go to the next project, whether it's Board of Ed or the town.
Right, and we've been asked to discuss, share feedback, thoughts.
So I'd like to make a motion to provide a recommendation to the town council to move forward with the recommendation as written. Okay, is there a second, and then we can move to discussion? Okay, Mr. Shimon seconding. Is there discussion? Mrs. Ross?
In what you just read, does it say they may use it for future projects, or is it they will use it for future projects? Like, what is the exact wording? Does it give them leeway to use it for the town manager and town council and Board of Finance to use it for other areas?
It says may be appropriated to the following.
I'd rather see more concise instead of a may, because that's not very concrete.
Yeah, so you'd rather see shall than may.
Yes, yeah.
That's fair.
Other thoughts on this proposal? Mrs. Campbell?
I agree with Kathleen.
Mrs. Maddie?
Steve, did I understand this correctly, that, didn't you read that it would go to the next capital project?
So it would go to the next highest priority capital project. So if there's things on the list, there'll be some projects that haven't gotten approved for this fiscal year.
Right.
That would kind of be on
Do we know
the
what
bench.
that next high priority project would be?
It would be moving forward, so whatever gets prioritized as the cycle goes through, it would go to that next project.
And when would that be determined, at the end of the school year?
It's an annual process through the, what's the,
CNR.
Yeah, the CNR, capital planning.
Okay, and that is controlled, I don't know what verb to use there, that is determined by the town manager?
Town manager, board of finance.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that's where I have concerns about the proposal, is that it could be, I'll give an example that recently happened. We had a project that Mr. Pisano was managing around exit lights, and the cost of the project, I'm gonna mess this up, Mr. Pisano, but $60,000, we spent $20,000, so there was $40,000 left over. Under this proposal, as I understand it, that $40,000 would be returned to the town for use under that, for a project under the CNR list, based on the recommendation of the town manager. My concern is, it's a savings on the Board of Education side, and there's no Board of Education input into that process. So I would much prefer to see a collaborative process between the superintendent and the town manager to determine what is the most pressing project facing the town, versus ceding that authority solely to the town manager without Board of Ed having any input into the process. So that would be my concern with the project. Mr. Sprowski?
I have a concern too, but it's more procedural. I don't disagree with the premise, right? I fully believe that, you know, the leadership that's been elected to lead the town should be the ones making the fiscal decisions. I wouldn't want to see necessarily the town manager solely making a decision on what to do with the $40,000 savings, right? I would rather that go before town council, board of finance, all the folks who are elected. But procedurally, you know, I looked back at the formation of this committee, and what their charge was, and what their powers are, and there's nothing in their powers that says that they should be writing or designing either policy or procedure. They are advisory only. Then I had a couple of conversations with folks, some from the committee, some from town leadership, and it was kind of implied that, oh, you know, town leadership may have you know, sought their advice on some kind of language around this. But then when I went back into the records from the minutes specifically from all the town council agendas, I didn't see any proposals or any votes to ask this committee to generate this language. So my concern is that we have a committee that is advisory only. They are not authorized or empowered to write any policies or procedures, but it does appear that they've written this one. So my concern is that I think the proper thing is they're supposed to be advisory and recommending only, not necessarily designing procedures or policies. So in my view, it should have been a recommendation to the town council, hey, the town should develop a policy around this. And then the town council should at that point have voted to decide what entity would be designing that, and then go from there. I'm also concerned, as part of this the procedure of the development of this, I asked the question specifically to one of the committee members, was this researched, was this vetted, did we look at other communities and what their procedures are? Is this being done other places? And the response was no, that hadn't been done. So I'm a little bit concerned that this kind of, again, I don't disagree with the premise, but I'm a little bit concerned procedurally at how this language came about, where it came from. So I would actually, if I'm asked right now to vote on this, I would vote not to endorse it for that reason. I want to see it go through the proper procedures, the proper channels of development. And if it comes back and it's the same language, but it's gone through the proper vetting process, and we've looked at other communities and what they do in these situations and said, yes, others do this, or no, others do it this other way, but it doesn't work well, so this way will work better. I just feel like it came kind of quick, and I just don't feel like there was really due diligence done in looking into the background of it, or the potential, what it could potentially mean for the future. You know, and I also agree that there's kind of an incentive question here. If we have, you know, another entity in town that makes it a capital non-reoccurring request, and let's say they're granted, for the sake of argument, $100,000, and the project that they want only costs 50, and then it goes back to the town, and there's no, like, they don't have a priority consideration to get it back for one of their projects. Where's the incentive for people to find savings? You know what I'm saying? So I think this needs a little bit of a longer look. I think it needs some vetting. And you know, I'm not entirely familiar with what that process is, start to finish. But I do think that you know, if it was written, which it appears to be written by this committee, they don't have the power to do it, first off. So I'm not sure that the correct process was followed in developing this policy. So those are my concerns. And again, above all this, it's a struggle internally for me because I don't disagree with the premise of it, if that makes any sense.
Mr. Schuman?
I just had concerns about, you know, ideally, the project comes in under budget and away it goes. But we have a litany of projects, and what happens if some of them go over budget?
I mean, that process, you gotta go back anyway.
That's not addressed in what,
Well, that's what I was, well, if that money, let's say one project is, you know, we save 40, the other one costs us 20 more, would not that 20?
You're gonna, right now, the way the process is, you wouldn't do that project unless you go back and ask for additional funds through the CNR process.
But you'd have to ask for that.
Correct.
Versus, okay, you just couldn't use the surplus from that.
but what happens mid-project if there's unforeseen cost? I think that's what
Right,
Mr.
yeah,
Schuman's
yes.
asking. So you started a project, you find out that it's gonna cost more because there was something you didn't know before you started the project. What, I don't know what I'm asking, I don't know what the current process
We
is.
save money here, can we not use it?
I was in the room when we made this,
I was in the room when we made this whole thing with Mayor Demetriadis and John Ireland and Tony, town manager. So initially, and it's evolving, right, because we just started this, initially it would, if we were in the middle of a project and it went over, we could come back, but we could go back to the Board of Finance, but it was almost assumed that the Board of Education will incur the cost. So then we would have to find the money through the Board of Education to pay for the rest of it. Now, let's say it's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that we say are in line, there's no way we're going to get to pay for it, then we would go back to the town. And they could very well stop the project if the Board of Education didn't pick up the rest. That was the intention of this, at the very beginning of this situation. It is evolving, but that was the intent, that the board would pick up the remainder or go back to the town. Even though we're yes.
Any other comments, thoughts on this? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor that has been seconded. I think we also have lots of recommendations about potential next steps that may go back. So we have to act on Mr. Heisman's motion, and then we can figure out where we go with the next steps. So Steve made the motion, Alan seconded the motion. Yes? You still good with your second?
Not like to withdraw.
Okay, so Mr. Schuman's withdrawing his second. Mr. Heisman put a motion on the floor. If there's not a second, this does not get acted on. If there is a second, we have to take a vote. So does anybody want to second Mr. Heisman's motion? Okay, seeing none, that motion dies, and I think we go back to both the town council and the Public Asset and Facilities Committee with the feedback from the Board of Ed. I appreciate that we did not endorse something that we're not all comfortable with. And before we move off, Mrs. Russ has a follow-up question.
Steve, you didn't have a meeting since our last Board of Ed meeting. Did somebody on the committee draft this then, or?
Yeah, so it was drafted, by the vice chair.
Okay, so did your committee all look at it?
So everyone looked at it, this one went through a couple meeting cycles.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
everyone looked at it, but yeah, the overall goal is to refine that CNR process, cause right now, essentially, like Enz alluded to, it was kind of more of a discussion, there's not really any guidelines to it right
Yep.
now, so this was looking at a first step to kind of handle a problem that we've had right now, where there's additional funds, and then that money ultimately would go back to not necessarily the town, it would go back to the taxpayers, right, and then it would go to the next project, unless whether it's Board of Ed or town, right, so whatever
Thank you, Mr. Heisman, for bringing it forward, and thank you, everybody, for the discussion. Okay, I'll get to, sorry, you guys have been sitting around patiently for so long. Appreciate it. This is a lesson in politics for all of you. Report of student representatives. Can I do the middle school first, or are you two in a rush? Okay. So Jillian and Summer, who's kicking us off? Here you go, Summer.
CMS has reached their midway point of quarter 4 on May 11th. CMS concluded SBAC testing last week as the 8th graders completed the Next Generation Science Standard exam. Last night, the 2026 CMS Scholar Leaders Marissa Blundo and Gabby Colo-Jaytalk were accompanied by Miss Cochiola and Miss Middlebrooks at the annual honorary dinner at the Aqua Terps. Congratulations. On May 7th, our middle schoolers hosted the current 5th graders for 6th grade orientation. We look forward to welcoming these students to our community in August. On May 14th, 7th graders made their annual trip to the Bronx Zoo. The group was grateful to dodge the rain and enjoy a dry and exciting learning experience. The CMS Art Show will take place on May 21st at CMS. On May 26th, 8th grade students look forward to attending a STEAM field trip in Hartford. Afterwards, student will be treated to a Hartford athletic soccer game. The 6th grade chorus has begun preparing for their performance at the annual Butterfly Night on May 28th in collaboration with the 6th grade language arts and social studies classes. The PTO will meet on Wednesday, May 27th at 5:30 p.m. The CMS chorus, the spring concert for 6th, 7th, 8th grade select choirs and choirs will be held tomorrow, May 20th at 6 p.m. The district-wide chorus night was held on May 11th. The newly created event includes selections from Woodside, CMS, and CHS students.
CMS band students performed at the district-wide jazz festival on May 6th and the district-wide band performance on May 14th. The spring performance on May 13th, or I think that's supposed to be 14th. The spring performance on May 14th was a rousing success. The World Language Club is gearing up for their big cultural cook-off in May. Students come together to share dishes inspired by their individual heritage. It's basically a big buffet. It's fun. I was there in 6th grade. The Yearbook Club has completed the yearbook. The students worked hard this season under Mrs. Starowitz's direction, and we all look forward to seeing the printed and finished books arriving next month. 6th grade teachers Josh Chabowski and Madeline Cunningham earned the Connecticut Council for the Social Studies Special Projects Award for their incredible work with the Butterfly Night project. Accompanied by Miss Middlebrooks, the teachers received the award on Thursday, April 30th, 2026 during the CCSS annual spring meeting at the New Haven Museum, located at 114 Whitney Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. On to sports. Track and field coaches St. Ange, Bosworth, and Glowa were pleased by the Falcons' strong effort and by the number of athletes who have qualified for the state meet, which was held on Saturday, May 23rd in Manchester. Best of luck to Summer Stankiewicz, Sophia Shields, Sadie DeLorio, and Andrew Matrullo. For baseball, the CMS baseball team is enjoying a successful season under Mr. Miller, led by Dimitri Marfala, Nikki Mayo, Calvin Forrest, Preston Tabak, and Jake Barton, all of whom have a batting average of over 3.360 and an OPS over 1,000. I don't know what that means, but
on base percentage.
Okay, Summer probably does. And are the statistics good? Okay, you heard it from her. Forrest, Tabak, Barton, and Mateo Faenza are leading the way on the mound. For softball, Mr. Penny's softball team is enjoying a successful season thanks to Alana McKee, Megan Hall's solid pitching. Joey Nelson and Brianna Romajali have impressed at the plate. There aren't statistics for this one, but I'm sure they're just as good as the boys' team.
Thank you, Jillian and Summer. Always entertaining and so much exciting stuff happening at CMS. Does anyone have any questions for Jillian or Summer? Mrs. Restos.
So I love your dynamic duo over there, the two of you. I think it's great. Jillian, thank you for your ad-libbing. It's really entertaining. And Summer, what are you running for the state track meet? Because that's a huge accomplishment. I just want everyone to know that is a very, very big accomplishment for
I'm running the 4x and 800, but I qualified for the 1600 and 800.
Way to go. Congratulations.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much, Jillian and Summer. All right, on to CHS, Marcel and Jacob.
May is flying by with so much going on. Last Saturday, juniors and seniors had their prom at AquaTurf with the theme Tangled Under the Lanterns. The weather was perfect and everyone had a great time. The Friday before prom, juniors and seniors had a Choice Matters assembly where Chris Sandy shared his experiences with drunk driving and having to live with a lifetime of regret. The Cromwell cross country team hosted a Student First Teacher 5K on May 16th. Congratulations to the students for taking home the win. The past 2 weeks have been busy with AP tests, but I'm sure everyone is relieved that they're finally over. Student of Month breakfast and honors breakfast will be held in the cafeteria on May 28th and May 29th. This Thursday is Seniors Awards Nights, where awards and scholarships will be awarded for graduation on June 11th. Students are excited for a half-day field day this Friday, and yet another recognition for Miss Williams on her George A. Coleman Excellence in Equity Award. Finally, Patrick Monahan and Eva Artioli were recognized as the 2026 Kayak Scholar Athletes during the Kayak Banquet on May 3rd. Congratulations to both on this well-deserved recognition. With this being my last meeting, I would like to thank everyone for this opportunity.
We have a June meeting.
Someone told me that this was my last one.
They lied. They lied, Marcel.
I had a speech and everything.
You're not done yet. I have to come. You have to come.
I think I should save this part of your presentation for the next one. Put it on pause, bring it back in a while.
And it really, truly, usually is, but this board wants you to come in June because I forgot your presents.
All four, please.
All four, please. Thank you.
And put them at the beginning of the agenda.
Thank you, Marcel. Jacob.
Hello everyone, here's your monthly sports update. Last time I commented that it was too cold to sit outside for games, now you better put on your sunscreen or your umbrella today. The baseball team is doing great with a 16-3 record. They played against Xavier High School last night, losing 7-3. Next, they play away at Summers on Thursday. The softball team is at a 11-7 record with a recent win over Hammond Claymore, 11-3. They're supposed to play Lyman at home today, and they're away at Lyman on Thursday. The boys lacrosse team has a 1-12 record following short valley regional last week. They're playing away at HK as we speak. Girls lacrosse team's record of 3-12 is looking to be improved as they play HK at home tonight. Both had their senior night, got rained out, of course. Both the boys and girls track team are wrapping up their season with a meet at Coggins-Shog for the Shoreline Conference tomorrow afternoon. The golf team had the opportunity to host several matches at the TBC River Highlands. They played at the Farms Country Club against Cheshire earlier today. The boys tennis team narrowly lost to East Granby last Tuesday with a final score of 3-4. Along with a few other teams will be traveling to HK on Thursday. The girls tennis team is playing at home versus North Bedford today, seeking a win against them. With the school year wrapping up, each team is locking in to make it to their respective championships and playoffs. I'd like to mention that we had student council elections today, and your junior board of education representative next year is an athlete, so you'll be in good hands.
Are you sticking with us?
Yes, I'll
great.
Marcel's
Great. Are you ladies sticking with us?
No.
Oh, you can't. You're moving. Oh. All right. Well, hopefully run when you're in high school. Thank you both. Any questions for Marcel or Jacob? Okay. All right. Mrs. Rustas.
Jacob, I don't care that we're getting a student athlete that will be on the board. I love your updates about sports, so maybe we can still have you do them once in a while.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Mr. Zabrowski.
All right, a little off base here, but Marcel, did I see you across the street at my neighbor's house getting ready for prom? No.
Is your neighbor Stanley Zara?
Yes. So you guys were super sharp. You looked great, right?
Thank you.
And I gotta tell you, I think you should dress that way for these meetings.
Maybe the next one.
Thank you. Appreciate you both. I know where you were going with that one, so. Your mic's still on, Chris. There you go. Thank you. You, as always, you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave and get your evening back. No more AP exams, so we know you're studying for something else diligently. Yes. Thank you. Okay, we have no town collaboration updates for this meeting, so I will pass it to Dr. Macri, who's gonna do her superintendent's report, and responses to BOE comments and action items.
So I'll start with the good news and then I'll go over to the bad news. I apologize, I could not be here last month. Unfortunately, my mom was in the hospital, so I had to take care of her, but she's doing better, thank God. We can only give you a tiny little bit of good news regarding SATs, but we did awesome. That's pretty much all I could say. I'm not allowed to based on the State Department of Education, but we have seen just what we thought we were gonna see. So thank you to Dr. McLean, her team, the teachers, the administration, everybody who's been working their tail off. I told you it took 7 years, and now I don't get to enjoy the rest of the upswing, but that's okay. We'll tell you more and we'll give you the numbers. No, it's just because they're so hard. They're really hard, and you know we're gonna get into that in a minute. Not because I don't like you guys, they're just really hard. So that's the first good news that I want to share with you. Principal interviews from the middle school are beginning this week. Michelle DeMoro and I worked on a timeline for the Director of Finance interviews as well. You will be contacted probably tomorrow to ask if you could please join those. And I know there's been conversations about we needing to bring these people in, but then also making sure that the new superintendent has a say in this, which I agree with as well. However, we do have to bring in these positions because a lot of work gets done over the summer. So hopefully we can find a way to make both happen. Next is the bad news. So that $520,000, just like the state typically does things, it goes to the municipalities. So the municipalities, the alliance districts, it goes directly to the municipalities. It doesn't go into our EMS grants fund. That's the only way we are allowed to receive money from the State Department of Education. In any other money, and especially in this, with this money, it's called excess cost money, it goes to the municipality. At that point, the municipalities or the towns that are alliance districts will have some of the money funneled into the Board of Education. Unfortunately, Cromwell's money was not discussed as of yet, and it was funneled to the town to set the mill rate. So that money has already been used, and the town, that's how you got your lower mill rate, is because that $520,000, not just that 500, but that right contributes to it. So I have asked for a meeting with the town manager, Mrs. Gaduti, Board of Finance Chair, Mayor Dimitriadis, because I would like to continue this discussion. I don't know if there is anything that we can do, because legislatively, that's the way it goes. However, I was on the commissioner's call for a couple hours last week. There was 2 commissioners' calls actually about this, and there may be language that's rewritten, there may not be. Once again, I know nothing because that's the way the governor wrote the legislation. So it was meant to offset the cost of education, but not necessarily to the Board of Education, but to the town, who contributes a lot of money to it. So sadly, I was thinking the same thing, and before I could even think twice about it, I was already told that it was back in the kitty for the municipality. So that's one bit of bad news, unfortunately. Okay, the next bad news is, and I'm gonna ask Mr. Butwell to join me to tell you about this. So we are an open choice district, and it's wonderful to have students join us through the open choice program. We have been an open choice district from way before I got here, and we have allocated reimbursement funds the same way since before I got here. And suddenly, we received an email, and Mr. Butwell is gonna tell you how it went south and we are not the only district, and I'll tell you about that after Mr. Bubble tells you what is going on and how I am going to suggest you as the board address it, but we'll have to do that in an executive session. So, Mr. Bubble.
Thank you. This would definitely be a don't kill the messenger situation.
Yes, exactly. Or the superintendent.
Okay, so as you know, some of our choice students that come to Cromwell, they receive special education services. And so each year, Cromwell bills back Hartford for the services that we've provided to those students. Reimbursements are calculated on a student-by-student basis. The service hours are multiplied times the rates which Hartford provides to us, and that's multiplied by the number of weeks in the school year. And then that total amount is reduced by a per-student offset, which is intended to reflect the fact that Choice has been funding that student to come to Cromwell. As part of the process, final reimbursement totals are submitted to Hartford by spreadsheet in October for review and approval for payment in the spring. So, as Dr. Macri said, we were recently contacted by Hartford, and they were going through an audit, and as a result of that audit, Hartford began informing multiple districts that they believe, including Cromwell, that they were using an incorrect amount when subtracting that correct funding amount for within the formula. And it's not just for 1 year, but it's for the prior 3 years back to 22-23. One of the key issues in the situation is that the districts were not provided with clear or consistent guidance regarding the specific per student reduction amount that should be used in the calculation. And as part of the process, each October, Cromwell submitted detailed spreadsheets to Hartford for review, and Hartford reviewed and approved those calculations. Hartford occasionally questioned other details in the spreadsheets, which we worked out with them and through conversation, but they've never identified that reduction amount as an issue. In addition, Hartford did not provide a standardized spreadsheet template for us or provide a specific reduction amount for us to use. We have also since learned that in previous years, quite a while ago, because I haven't seen it, more detailed guidance from the state existed in terms of completing this reimbursement process, but it has not been distributed for several years.
I've never seen it, and neither has Maureen Brummett, another superintendent in Newington. We've been speaking, Dr. Brummett and I. We've never seen this, so it happened before us. She's been a super longer than I have.
However, it was just reissued, so that's good news.
After everything.
What's the financial impact, you may be wondering? It has not yet been fully determined, but here's what I can tell you so far. So our initial informal communication from Hartford indicated that the first thing that we were told is that we had overbilled Hartford for reimbursement just last year, and that we had overbilled them by approximately $132,000. However, we had some follow-up discussions, and during those conversations we were told that we needed to now be considering all the way back to 22-23. However, the amounts now changed, and so for 22-23, they're suggesting that we owe $44,000, for 23-24, $64,000, and for 24-25, also $64,000, for a total of $172,000. So just noting that the calculations and repayment estimates have changed already during this conversation. The only other insight we have to how this will be resolved is we've been told that Hartford may withhold these amounts from our reimbursement for this year. So they'll just subtract it off and then reimburse us the balance.
So that throws off, if that was to happen, that throws off the bottom line that you will see today. So, Chris, are you done? Should I continue with what next? Or you have more?
But that's all I have unless there's questions.
No, okay, so, okay.
Please don't leave, there probably are questions. Mrs. Cantwell, do you have a question?
Is this strictly for students that you're talking about, students that receive special education services, or is this for all the choice students?
strictly for students that receive services. This entire discussion is regarding students who come from Hartford, receive special ed services here, and then we're billing back Hartford for the services that our district has provided.
So, just to clarify, so I understand this process, so when they come here, I'm just gonna use this as an easy number, say we
Sure.
spend 10,000 a year on special education, do we get that full amount back from Hartford for that student?
Yes, minus the amount in question. So many of the amounts are much higher than 10,000, so they may be 40, 50, 60,000. And then you would subtract an amount that's supposed to represent the fact that Hartford is paying Cromwell to have the students come here.
If a student needed to be outplaced, so say if a student came from Hartford and then it ended up that they needed to be outplaced, then what happens? Who bears the complete cost of that?
Hartford does.
Hartford does.
Yep.
As long as the student is identified. So let's say we have for other reasons.
Before they come.
No.
Oh, after, it can be after.
It can be after. If the student is not identified and they're having other issues or whatever, if we wanted to outplace that child, we would have to pay for it if the student was not identified as special education.
Yeah, I understand that.
504 even we would be on the hook for.
Oh, five.
I believe so. Would we be on the hook for 504? I think it's just if you have an IEP. Yeah. I'm just saying, right, just so it's clear.
I'm just trying to understand the whole process, to make sense of it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Zabrowski?
Just quick math, you said 132,000 was for this year?
And that was initially, yes.
Okay. Has it gone up?
They changed it after our second conversation and it doesn't even make sense
Okay.
because the math doesn't work.
So just the rough math, with the three numbers you gave us, the total there is over $300,000.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
172.
That's, okay, I'm glad I'm asking. 'cause
172, I think it is.
I had 132, then I had 44,000, then I had 64,000.
Right. The
Wait, can we just let Mr. Botwell answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So the 132 was the initial for last year, but they've changed that. So scratch the 132, and now it's a 64. So you've got 44, 64, 64.
Any, Mrs. Franklin?
You mentioned other districts, but how many other districts are facing the same issue?
So today, I've been in contact with 2 other superintendents. We've had conversations on how to address this. Today, yesterday, an email came from another superintendent who was asking if we received this email that said it will be subtracted from your bottom line of reimbursement this year. So although Cromwell has not received that email, we have been in discussion on the phone with Hartford. And so some of us are getting emails telling us how much money we owe and that it's going to come out of the bottom line. Some of us are having phone calls and saying, no, thank you. And we're all trying to figure this out. So that would be the part of advising you in the next session. Oh, there's more than 4. I have West Hartford, Cromwell, Rocky Hill, Newington, Enfield, Avon. These are the ones that I know about. There's a ton. So it was definitely not a slight on anything. It's probably, I would say, more than 75% of the districts who participate. And the other ones are just, it's low participation, so they're just paying it. It's like $8,000, $5,000, they're gonna just pay it. We have a high participation rate. Newington has even higher participation rate, and West Hartford would go bankrupt, actually. So this is, like I said, my recommendation would obviously be not to pay it, and then I could advise you, you should be advised through legal matters, and we'd have to go into an executive session at the next meeting, unless the conversation with the superintendents in Hartford dies down and this goes away, but we don't think it will. And we don't think that we're gonna find that out until the check comes and it's short that money.
So my recommendation would be, we're meeting again June 2nd, unless you think that that's too late. I
No.
would suggest we hold an executive session post June 2nd, and in the interim, I'm just gonna add a piece that I learned is that we have to seek a different legal counsel because our legal counsel there's conflicts. So
They cannot opine. So for June 2nd executive session, would you like me to contact the attorney? So there's a couple things going here. We're all trying to work together so that does not become so expensive for all of us. The problem is I may or may not know by June 2nd who's in and who's out as far as districts. I don't think you should necessarily wait. I could contact another attorney that we've used in the past and see if that person is available to give you legal advice on what to do next. Would you like that person to come on the 2nd, or would you like to just talk about this more in executive session?
is it possible to find out if any districts are further along in identifying legal counsel to address this issue before June 2nd, and then maybe we could collaborate and have.
Yes, so I have one district that I'm working with, and yes, this district reached out to legal counsel. As of today, while I was sitting here, the superintendent called me with an update, but I did not answer it, so I don't have the update. I'll know a little more probably tonight when I get out of here.
So my recommendation would be we place an executive session on our calendar for the June 2nd meeting so that we can have this discussion, and we allow Dr. Macri to collaborate with some other districts so that we can find out if there's particular legal counsel that has an expertise in this area that's working with other districts that we could also collaborate with. If not, I guess I'll ask all of you to give Dr. Macri permission to be able to identify some other legal counsel that could help us, and we'll try to get somebody here for the June 2nd meeting. Does that make sense?
Sounds good, I'll get on it.
Okay. Everybody's good with that? Okay, because we may be shortened our last payment and it may be an issue. When would we expect, Mr. Boatwell, to get that last payment for the year, or is it monthly?
It's not monthly, it's at the end of the year. Last year, it was very close to the end of June.
It has always been so close to the end of June that we had a couple years where we got it at the beginning of June and we were so grateful. We are anticipating that it'll probably come at the end of June so that this becomes a bigger thing that it will become in the next fiscal year. Now you're talking about, this is why I need legal counsel to talk to you. What does it mean?
Mrs. Cantwell, and then Mrs. May.
Have you reached out to the superintendent of Hartford directly to discuss this?
The superintendent of Hartford was notified to call me. We spoke with someone in the office and, right, I still haven't received a call. Last
Friday.
Oh, I was like, what's
Sorry.
today?
It was last Friday.
Yes. Yeah, it's 11. I may hear back, or I may get that email that other districts are getting. I just haven't gotten it yet. It may be the bigger districts with that. It's a lot of money, and it's going to put them in the complete red. They may be going first, and then they may come toward those of us that owe a little bit less of money next. But I saw the email that went out to some superintendents, and I have not received that email yet. But like I said, we've talked to them twice. And Sari was in the room as well.
Mrs. Maddie.
I really think we should get on this sooner than June 2nd. I mean, if it's possible, and maybe Enza would be more able to say whether or not that's a good idea or not, but why wait till June 2nd? This sounds pretty serious, and it looks like they may just pull a fast one, sending the money at the end of June when there may not be all those resources that you can get hold of as easily.
I'm already on it, Donna. Like I don't think you, the board should make a decision until I get more information as to whether or not we're going to be doing something together with everyone, or if it's like the same situation that happens once in a while, everyone says, well, my attorney wants to do this, well, we're just gonna pay the bill, or we're just, and then I will say to you, you know what, that's not gonna work, I think we need to seek our own legal counsel and get our own, guidance. But if we can do it together, then we can save money, because right now, you see what our bottom line is, we are in the plus, but it goes fast.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I guess what
Yes.
I'm saying is, if you get the information that you want, should you gather the Board of Education together before June 2nd?
If I get anything that's alarming, like very alarming tonight when I speak again with the superintendents that I'm working with, I would definitely contact Alicia and Ms. Gaduti and say, I think we should meet before June 2nd. I'll definitely, because I think it's very, very, very important, but I don't think there's much we can do, and especially hiring a different counsel, if it was our own counsel, but they cannot opine based on the situation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brotwell. Everybody's good with, we can let Mr. Brotwell sit. No? Oh, I'm sorry, you're next, Mr. Brotwell. Sorry.
It's good to be back.
All right, so we're good with that. You have no other updates, so we're gonna move on to budget update. It's reference A in your packets. Thank you, Mr. Brotwell.
Okay, you're welcome. This is some positive news. We're continuing to look good as we roll into the end of the fiscal year. Our team's been concentrating on closing up purchase orders and trying to get any money that's not going to be necessary to be unencumbered and get it back into the general fund. I noted in my overview to Dr. Macri that the state just recently released the DRIP grant, which stands for District Repair and Improvement Project Funding. Cromwell received $98,423, and so we're already putting that to good use. We're going to use some of that money to reimburse the district for projects that have already happened, and also use the balance to take care of some things that need to be done sooner rather than later that didn't make it to the CNR list. So that's going to put a little bit of money back into our, the reimbursements put a little bit of money back into our funding, but that was nice to have that amount from the state. Before I talk about budget transfers, any questions about the report?
Keep going, I think we're good.
Okay. So I have 3 budget transfer requests for you, which I outlined in detail in the memo. The first one is requesting a transfer of $20,600 from the 520 property insurance account to the 641 textbooks account. And you'll see basically the situation is that it's a great situation to have. We have increased enrollment in our high school AP classes, and this is for next year. And Mr. Cockle contacted me to let me know that he needs additional books for those rising numbers in the AP classes next year. Those that amount is not in the 26-27 budget, so we would like to transfer that amount I've already described to purchase those books which you see outlined in your memo.
And I just want to add, there would have been, this is a great surprise, there would be no way for us to know until the students enrolled. And when Mr. Kuckle said we have all these kids enrolled and we don't have books for them and if they're not budgeted for next year, we need to buy them books.
Do you want to just keep going through all 3?
I'd be happy to go through
Thank you.
quickly, sure. The second is Object 739, non-instructional equipment. So we're requesting a transfer of $37,000 from the 200 benefits account to the 739 non-instructional equipment account. There's 2 things going on here. One is that we've had to expend more than expected under our special education non-instructional equipment of an amount just over $12,000. That's bullet number 1 there in the memo. And then secondly, we're requesting additional funding for the equipment outlined there that the Cromwell High School has identified as important to their sports programs, and that totals $23,700. So we're requesting a total transfer of $37,000. And then finally, the third transfer request is for Object 810, dues and fees. We're requesting a transfer of $15,000 from the 510 transportation account to the 810 dues and fees account. This request is being made to address our projected student meal debt for the end of the year. Our current meal debt is at about $35,000, and we're projecting that it could go as high as $40,000 before the end of the school year. You may recall that earlier in the year we had a donation made to that lunch debt account in the amount of $25,000. So we're looking for a balance amount to just make sure that our lunch program will continue to be funded going forward. Our lunch program is unable to absorb that amount of debt, and we actually can't, we're not allowed to do that unless we receive a waiver from the state, which was not something that was given, offered to us, offered to anybody this year. So that's the third one.
Thank you. I'm gonna open up to questions, comments, feedback on these proposals, and then I'll ask for a motion. Mrs. May.
You all know I'm new to this, but I do remember that when we were trying to cut the budget, and that included, what happened to the first grade position, that we had all these things, they look so familiar to me, especially that golf cart. Anyway, I thought to myself as I was looking at this earlier today, is there going to be a discussion about this position? And the reason I asked that.
It's the next item on the agenda.
Oh, geez, Louise, and I read the agenda.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have my glasses right now, but I
Okay.
did read, okay,
No
thank
problem.
you. Forget that then. I mean, I'm wondering if we are gonna discuss that, whether we should be moving money around, if in fact.
This is for this year's budget, so this is looking
Oh, that's right, this
at
is
moving
not-
items around in this year's
Okay,
budget,
gotcha.
and that discussion relates to next
I'm
year's
old.
budget.
I'm old. See,
No, no
now-
problem.
Now I've had to.
Good questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on Mr. Botwell's request to transfer funding? Mr. Heisman?
So for the windscreens for $9,400, did those get damaged, or what's the, we had them on the ball field, or did they get damaged, and are we doing something to prevent them from getting damaged again?
May I ask
Can
Mr.
we ask
LeMay to
Mr.
come up?
LeMay?
If you just repeat the question.
Yeah, so the windscreens on the baseball field, do they get like damage from lawn maintenance, and then if that's the case, what are we doing to prevent that from happening again?
Good question. So when we talked to the vendor, he measured it out so it wouldn't go as low as the lowest ground, so they could weed whack on both sides. On the baseball, softball fields, they'll be placed on the warning track, and then they'll still be put up. So that area is usually sand or the little gravel parts. So I don't envision that happening. And then just for practice of it, when the season's over, we'll take those down and take them in, and then we'll put them out for the next season.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. LeMay. Mrs. Russ has a question. I'm not sure if Mr. LeMay, I don't think you should say yet.
And Mike, no, he can, because my question's related to the items that we are looking at for, the goalpost, lineman slide, golf cart, and windscreens. Are we concerned, I know it's not a significant amount of money, but are we concerned about shifting money out of one fund that we know we're not gonna use it for and putting it in another, knowing that we're gonna be hit with this other cost for, I think the cost is gonna come through no matter what, related to the Hartford situation. Are we concerned about spending that money right now and
So may I?
versus not, yes,
Yeah,
holding off?
I agree.
Dr. Macri?
I agree. My recommendation would be, obviously, the textbooks, we have to educate our students, that should come first. There's nothing we could do about the food service debt. The state will not give us a waiver at this time. The other amount of $37,000 for non-instructional equipment for special education, obviously, we're mandated to provide through IEPs, so that transfer has to be made. The only thing that I would say to you is, we just got hit with this. do we need these things? Yes, we wanna be we're the home of the champions. We wanna continue to be the home of the champions. I know we're one of the districts that does not have some of these things. Is it possible that perhaps our football team didn't make it past that game because we didn't have goalposts for them to practice on? Maybe. But that's for you to decide. I think the important thing for me to explain to you is the golf court is really about safety and security. Safety. You have a child who gets hurt. We have our oh my gosh, trainer. Yes, our personal trainer who jumps on that golf cart to go from one school to another field to another field, which then sometimes saves an ambulance from coming because he's trained, and then it saves it could be a financial situation for the family, and they tell us, don't call the ambulance, please just let us try to figure this out. I'm not saying you should, what I'm saying is wait for this maybe and do it in June. I'm not saying it's not important because it's clearly here. I'm saying it's not as important as everything else. And am I worried about the Hartford funding? Of course I am. So I think I've given you the information that you need. Should you hold? It won't hurt to hold until June. The only problem is Mr. Butwell does have to shut the books down, and so do you foresee any?
I would just like to share some additional information, which is when we initially spoke to Hartford about the situation, and they thought that we might owe them $132,000 for last year, I did put that money into the projection.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
In 560 tuition, you'll see under the column encumbered and forecast that it's quite a large number, 551. 132,000 of that is money that I earmarked ahead of time in event of the situation. So part of it's already been set aside should it come to that, but you should be aware that that money is already, some of it's already been set aside. So it keeps us in stronger standing.
Mrs. Franklin.
So the max based on the math that we have now with the 44, 64, 64 would be an additional $40,000 or
Correct, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Unless they give us something in writing that says more. We have gotten, yes, nothing, but yes, correct.
As of today,
Thank
yes.
you, Mr. Butwell. I forgot that you did that. That's awesome.
Mr. Butwell, I have a question. How does this change with Hartford impact the budget that we already passed and next year's budget projections as we passed the budget, assuming we were getting existing reimbursement from Hartford? So what's the potential impact on next year's budget?
I would say minimal, because I mean, if you look at the amounts that they're talking about on a yearly basis, $40,000 to $60,000, we always, in terms of reimbursements, we tend to err on the conservative side, you know, in terms of what we're going to get back, because we don't want to, over account or over project for what people will be receiving. So I would say it's, obviously it's a concern, but I wouldn't say that it's going to devastate our budget for next year.
That's helpful. I have a Mr. LeMay question. Where did he go?
Get on the golf cart. Get over here.
That's my question. Help me understand. We have an existing golf cart that runs, because I see it putting around.
Yeah.
Is the engine fail? What's the issue with the golf cart?
Sure. So it's from 2001. It works. It smells like gasoline. It travels not very fast. It is usable. It is something that, do I envision it will make it next year? Probably. Outside of that, it's can go really any day. We earmark about $1,000 a year for repairs for a scoreboard for anything that goes out. The last 2 years, we've put about $700 into the golf cart. So it certainly does work. It's just 25 years old.
Thank you. All right.
No,
I didn't hear the joke, but that's, okay, so let's take this back to, we need to make a discussion have a discussion on what action we would like to take. So I'm gonna ask all of you, is there a motion to act on all or parts of this proposal? Mrs. Lamb.
Quick question.
Oh, a question, okay.
So if we vote to make these transfers, it doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna place the purchase orders this month. It might be we wait to do purchases in June, kind of like we're if we make the transfer, we're buying right away.
You already bought a lot. You bought the
I'm
debt,
sorry,
the
I'm
student
thinking-
debt. You bought, yeah. You're talking
no,
about
totally.
just
I'm
for
talking about
these
the
things?
discretionary things that
Yes,
sort of-
we would move forward rather quickly, especially, because it takes time for this stuff to get in, and also because, we have to place the orders before July 1st, and just remember, 2 of us in the office who get to sign off on these things won't be here after June 30th, so we need to get moving on it, yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to honor the discussion of do we wait till June, but, so if you
Yeah.
make the transfers, get everything set up in the budget. I think the question is really about the procurement of,
Yeah.
of like the windscreens and things
Right,
like that.
do you wanna do it or
Do you
not?
wait to do the purchase order?
Or do you not, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Zabrowski and then Mr. Husband.
Just kind of wondering if we could recoup some money here. What would happen with the old golf cart? Could it be sold to get a few hundred back? Like, how does that?
25-year-old golf cart.
No, but I mean, I do consider myself to be almost a golf cart expert because the number of times I hit a ball when I play golf has me driving all over the place. I'm in the lot.
So Matt will fix your golf cart.
No, I'm just
for
curious. So,
it's voluntary.
you know, you mentioned we've had to put $700 of repairs into the golf cart, which okay. I can see why there is a need maybe to upgrade the golf cart if it's 25 years old. But what would happen to the old one? So we would have 2 golf carts.
Or could we get, trade it in like we do with cars, but we can trade in.
I don't wanna belabor the golf cart conversation.
I'm kind of a waste not, want not type of person, so I'm just like, I don't want to buy a new one and then just find the old one parked next to the dumpster. That's really what I'm getting at.
We will make good use of the golf cart regardless, yes, Mr. Lemay?
Yeah, and another idea is we could gift it to the middle school potentially for when they're out on the fields. And there are times when our athletic trainer Keenan is on the baseball field. I'm far away somewhere else. I don't know, potentially maybe the new golf cart will have the ability to go to the middle school. That's where our tennis teams play. So we would make good use of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Heisman.
I'm kind of on the same page with Jessica on this.
Oh, Jessica,
As
okay.
far as, if we can approve it tonight and then just hold off until June, because either way, if it gets tabled, we're still waiting till June.
Once we approve it, we approve it. That's our process. So we can't sort of approve it, we can't tentatively approve it. We have to either take action or take no action. Mrs. Maddie.
When I mentioned the golf cart, I was kidding because that's where I live, on the golf course. Should I ask someone, we just happen to be having an HOA meeting next week. I mean, I don't carry any weight there, but could I ask someone if we have a good used golf cart? I mean, they had Cromwell High School there playing. Could I ask them if we could maybe out of the, I mean, it wouldn't be our HOA that would determine that. It would be the TPC, but we have a liaison to the TPC. Could I ask?
Ms. Lemay, and then I wanna put the golf cart conversation to
put
bed
that-
because we've got a lot of other important things to.
Sure, I mean, we would never say no to something that was donated that was usable, but the only problem is an athletic trainer's golf cart, the back has to come all the way down. The ones at TPC, other places just have backings to put your golf clubs on.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Okay, so I'm gonna call to question, is there a motion to approve the proposals for transfer as presented or in part? Mrs. Maddie, your mic's still on. Do we wanna take these individually? Do you wanna take, okay, that will be that's my recommendation. Okay, so the first part of the proposal is about textbooks, and the proposal is to transfer $20,600 from the 520 property insurance account to the 641 textbook account. Is there a motion to make that transfer? Okay, motion Mr. Schuman, second, I think Mrs. Franklin was next. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, textbooks are good. I'm gonna go to the third one next. Object 8, I need my reading glasses. 810, dues and fees. Requested transfer of $15,000 from the 510 transportation account to the 810 dues and fees account. Is there a motion to make that transfer? Motion Mrs. Russ, is there a second? Mrs. Lamb, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Okay, that one's moved. I'm gonna pick apart object 739 because we have some options and we have some that we have no options for. So part 1 of object 739 relates to unanticipated equipment needs arising during the fiscal year for our special education students. Is there a motion to approve the transfer of $12,105 from the benefits line account 200 to 739 non-instructional equipment account? Motion, Mrs. Cantwell, second, Mr. Schuman, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Okay, motion passes. Second part of that, is there a motion to approve the additional funding of $23,700 from the benefits line 200 to account 739 non-instructional equipment to cover the costs of windscreens, goalposts, lineman sled, and golf cart?
I'm gonna say that our student athletes, they deserve opportunities just like our academic scholars do. I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Zabrowski is making the motion. Is there a second? There's a second from Mr. Heisman. Any discussion? Calling the question. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Mrs. Maddie, anybody abstaining? Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Butler. Thank you, Ms. Schulman.
Thank you.
All right, I'm moving us back to budget discussion around current enrollment projections. In your packets, I just want to point out there's some materials for you. So you have reference C and reference D. You all want to pull it out, and Dr. Macri has some additional materials that maybe Lisa can pass them out.
Sure, please.
Because I'm going to ask you to describe. So I'll just summarize. Everybody has in advance a document that says it has ECS enrollment trends for 25-26 and 26-27 with projections based on class size. You also have in your packets the Cromwell Public School enrollment projections to 2031 that was developed by a researcher in November of 2021. I'm gonna ask Dr. Macri to just review the materials for us, provide highlights and recommendations, please, around what is, I asked Dr. Macri to tell us what industry data is for class sizes and enrollment in communities across the state, because I thought that would be really helpful information for all of us to have as well, not just looking at our own data and trends, but what's happening in other communities. Passing it to you.
Sure. First, this is not an easy discussion. I heard all of my teachers, and I also did present this information in January, and I did make a comment about wanting small class sizes. And if I went out as a superintendent with having small class sizes, that would be something I would love to be remembered for. But in part, in saying that, that is something I should be remembered for, because if you look at our surrounding districts, we are well below, and those who are not are looking to close the school. All based on the Peter Prada report, because he does everybody's report, and with the real numbers, today's numbers. So whatever the board decides, I think you have to look at this pre-budget, superintendent's budget, post-superintendent's budget, Board of Education's budget. You need, now this is the opportunity for me to tell you, okay, when you told me we need to be fiscally responsible, it's my opportunity to tell you, you need to be fiscally responsible. Because now you, the Board of Finance voted and the town voted. So, the first question, I gave you a bunch of things to look at. I didn't create them, they're facts. The Peter Prada report, which is online, everyone has access to it. If you look at the pages that I highlighted for you, they do tell you that enrollment is going down in the district. And then it's going to continue to go down. And so I highlighted that page. It just gives you a little extra information. I'm sure you had the time to read it. That's page 5 is the district enrollment page. Yep. So you can see the lines. We're losing students, unfortunately. And this was done 4 years ago. It's recommended to do every 5 years, so it should be done again. Also, I gave you Edna Stevens enrollment projections, and then I also gave you what Peter Prouda said as he did the research, and he's looking at over the next 10 years of our enrollment decreasing, and that is what we have seen. Also, every month you are given the enrollment report in your packets, and it tells you exactly how many students are here, so you can look at that over time. So I've never held back any enrollment numbers or projections. In fact, I keep a close eye on them quite often, and this just got rid of it. So the next reference, one of the other references that you have, is the spreadsheet. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I go in order, but I don't think I'm going to be able to go in order. It's the enrollment spreadsheet that says class sizes, ECS WIS projections for 26-27. We do this every year, and the left column just tells you what it would look like if we remain, what it looks like today with students sitting in the seats, 25-26 school year. And we update this monthly. So right now in our seats today, or when this was like last week, this is what we have. So you'll notice the school totals at 332. If in the next column I give you the same students but a different year, so you're going to the right. Now, right now in kindergarten, if we were to move to the first grade students, right? So you're looking at those 96, right? Now you see it in first grade. If you were to project 96 students, you'd have class sizes of 14, 13. But I want to come back to that in a moment. Grade 2, sitting in our seats right now, so they go to WIS, but if you see grade 1 going to grade 2, that's 113 students. And you see the class size with 7 and 6. We did talk at our budget meeting about, I did have a number, I just have it with me, when we talked about our budget and you voted on it, I did have as number 24 and 25 you could have possibly removed 2 positions, and you chose not to remove 2 based on those numbers. You chose to remove the 1. Now, if you follow me through, on the back of this, you'll see WIS's numbers as well. So I want you to know that as much as I want to continue to have small class sizes, and even smaller if possible, you have to decide if it's something that you can sustain over time, because the enrollment will continue to decline. So are you willing to sustain these class sizes of 13, 14, or 15 over time? Because the data is showing us that that is happening in Cromwell. And I can't make that decision for you. I think if I could, you probably would know what I would do. Then I was asked to provide the ECS WIS, the ECS numbers. Sorry, let me just find that one. For students in seats. So I did that for you on reference E, but then I also just gave you the 2 new documents that I gave you. So we have had in grade 1, we have currently sitting in our seats in grade 1, like we talked about, it is still 96 students. However, we have 7 students that are, and the way Power School is, I can't put them in, so I wrote it for you on this sheet right here. We have 7 kids that are potentially registered to enter into first grade. So if all 7 of those kids come, and those 7 can come and 10 can leave. I can never make any of these promises to over the summer, and then I wrote that at the bottom. It's important to note that students come and go over the summer at all grade levels, and this is a rough estimate, a snapshot in time based on the information we have available today. So if those 7 students came who were in the process of being registered, And in the state of Connecticut, you only have to give us two things, proof of residency and birth certificates. We have those for these 7 students. We don't have all of the other information. We don't have anything from their school. So regular education, do they receive? I can't tell you any of that. I don't know any of that, and I wouldn't tell you that part anyway. Then we would have 103 students. So I broke that down for you. So if you start at the bottom of this page with grade 1, if that would be with 6 teachers, we would have about 17 students, and with 7 teachers, you would have about 14, 15 students. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody so far? Okay. I also want you to take a look at kindergarten, because we've been talking a lot about first grade. So I had Ms. Tituno write you a memo. Unfortunately, she cannot be here this evening. So there is a memo here from Mrs. Tituno. As of today, registered, 100% registered, fully coming into kindergarten, we have 91 students. We have 29 who were screened who have not yet registered. Could be burr babies whose parents decide last minute, I'm keeping them, I'm sending them to preschool again, I'm sending them somewhere else. We don't know what it is. I just know that they have not been registered yet. So as of today, class size in kindergarten would be 13. But if every single one of those students that have been screened come, you're gonna have class sizes of 17 in kindergarten. So I want you to think about those 2 things, right? First grade and kindergarten, as we think this through. So those are today's numbers. I've been asked about research. I could talk about research with enrollment and class size with Dr. McLean for the next 25 years, but I'm not gonna do it. And I'm not gonna challenge things that were said tonight, because we can all make data sound the way we want it to sound, and you remove parts and you put in parts, right? We can all do that. I could do that right now. But what I will tell you, based on research, and then based on what I see every single day as an educator, and I will always consider myself a teacher, the behaviors are absolutely much different than they were when I had 33 students in my class. I can also tell you that when I had 33 students in my class, my second year of teaching, I had 16 kids. I would trade those 33 students for the 17 that I had. Who's in your class? Not because I didn't love them, because I was drained and burnt out, right? Who's in your classroom matters. It doesn't necessarily matter the size of the class, and we want them there, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it matters on how you service the students. Also, please remember that we have, I've asked you for RBTs and special services for students who need more intense services. And yes, we've already hired one, and we'll hire another. And those are district employees, so we've advocated, and we are also in discussion with ESS, who will be on the agenda June 2nd, about getting 2 more clinicians in our district through a state grant. So I've been doing my best to advocate for what our teachers are having the hardest time with, and I do not deny by any means that it is not difficult, nor that it has changed as an educator myself. You asked me what is state average for class sizes K through 3 are between 18 and 22. Tend to be a little bit higher in urban areas than in suburban. What we call the sweet spot, what people would say is where you'd like to have K through 2 and 3. I would argue with 3 too, because you're reinforcing those fundamental reading skills, and if they don't have them by grade 3, we all know that you could be 4 years behind and trying to catch up. So at that point, 15 to 18 is the sweet spot. As you all know, we had a discussion, and if we could sustain in public schools smaller class sizes, there's data and research that says this would be wonderful, because you differentiate and you could individualize, and of course you can all do all of that. However, the number 1 factor is the quality of the teacher in the classroom. And so that quality of the teacher is first, which is why we spend quite a bit on professional development and making sure that our teachers are up to speed and are providing the best instruction. However, my anecdotal, not looking at research, my personal opinion, I see a lot of advantages, and I see some disadvantages, because I don't believe that Cromwell has the appetite to sustain class sizes of 12, 13, and 14 moving forward. You guys have to make that decision, but you remember, you spoke about being fiscally responsible before you voted. I spoke to you, remember I basically told you I didn't care about the taxpayers? I'm pretty sure those words came right out of my mouth. And now I do care about them, because it is your budget and it's my responsibility. And although I am a lame duck, until June 30th, I will advise you to stay within your budget. You made a decision, we made a decision. You are still in the sweet spot, and we are still well below class sizes than surrounding districts, and we are below the average, and I'm very proud of that. With all that being said, it is up to you to have this discussion. You asked me for the data, I provided it, I gave you my expertise. I could talk to you, like I said, about class size, over coffee for the next 25, done a ton of research on it myself. So that's what the data shows, that's where we are. It's up to you, and I value every single solitary thing that my teachers do every single day. And I feel badly, because the time to advocate for a lot of this stuff was in January when I was having that discussion. But I know we're all so busy, everybody is so busy, but it was on the agenda. So with that being said, please take it off my plate, because it is really truly your decision to make.
Okay, I'm opening it up to comments, questions. I very much appreciate all the work that went into providing us that information. I think it's really helpful for us to have data, not just about where we are now, but where we will be in the future and what other communities do. Ms. May?
I just want to allude to something that this lady mentioned in her remarks, and it's a question I want answered as well. And the question is this: since we have gone to these small classrooms, because everyone whom I have talked to about this says the same thing, this is amazing. I mean, these kids are in classes of 14, 15 right now?
Right now, you have to look at the enrollment report. Here, can you?
Right now.
Right now,
They're in
as they will be next year, but
which is,
So the first grade sitting in the seats today are the same of the amount that would be sitting in the seats next year, just different
Okay.
kids.
What-
So you have to look
so,
down.
all right, so, for some odd reason, I don't know where that is. But I got this. Let me just ask this question. So give me the response is that as of right now, this is with the substitute, or the substitute is gone?
So
Can you clarify, you wanna know this year what the class sizes
I
are
wanna
with the
know-
7 classes?
I wanna know this year with the substitute who is still holding that.
It's the
that
right
classroom.
column, it's the right column of the sheet that was in, I'm sorry, left column of the sheet that was in your packet.
Okay, so.
16 and 7, mostly 16 and one class of 17.
Okay, so now I just wanna know, with these small class sizes, has there been academic advantages, but really academic gains that you all who are data-driven can tell me in very concrete terms?
Our academic data
I wanna know about the gains.
Our academic data at ECS has pretty much always been solid, and it continues to be solid.
So we actually just looked it up, and last year, the class sizes that we currently have, the only state accountability data that is the DIVLS assessment, and I don't think that there was a score of under 70% on the DIVLS for K1 or 2.
But just to get to Donna's question, there hasn't been a dramatic change in class size, so it's difficult to say.
Right, you can't give
you
me
can't
that.
say large class sizes, this is the result, or this is the.
With the current class, I would tell you that if there were 25 kids in that class, the data would not look that way. I don't have to be a genius or a rocket scientist to tell you that. But because the numbers have pretty much been along these lines, it would be difficult for us to say to you, because this is where we've been. We've always been
Right,
here.
in the
And I don't fault teachers for advocating for less students at all.
Well, the thing is, we've all, I think I can say this because I'm not going against confidentiality, but in our superintendent search.
No, you can't, please, you can't. You cannot talk about that process at all. Okay.
Well, then let me just say that as in terms of these class sizes and what we're doing with these teachers and what parents have said that these teachers are doing, that's phenomenal, individualized attention. But we have spoken here about how the behaviors have changed in the last, give me a number, 10 years? I've been out 10 years. 10 years? And that the behaviors are severe. And that means that that teacher now is pulled from her classroom. Not only, I wanted to hear all those, you know, the BCBAs, the RBAs, or I want to know all those letters again, because now they're talking to parents, they're talking to maybe specialized psychologists. I think they need all the time they can possibly get, and that is going to be given to them with the smaller class sizes. That's what I would say.
I'm just gonna remind everybody that we did hear from the Paraprofessional Association about their desire for additional support on the behavioral side, and we did include in our budget 2 full-time RBTs, so right, so I wanna make sure that people know that. Because that is really designed, that was the request from their association about really providing that extra behavioral support. Are there other folks that have comments? Mrs. Franklin?
I have a few. Thank you for everyone who came out to talk this evening and everyone who wrote in public comment. There were a few things that really stuck with me. One of them was a letter that came into us that budgets require hard choices but also reflect priorities, and our priorities should be centralized around students first. And I think everybody on this board agrees with that and, you know, really does feel that. Another comment that struck me was I agree, you know, to look at numbers and look at data and look at class sizes, but to actually look at performance and to look at what our students are achieving now and what they could be achieving in the future. And just the overwhelming response that these teachers never in their careers have seen the complexities for student needs so high. That really hits me, and I do completely understand the fiscal responsibility of a budget already being passed. But and I'm not alluding to something can be done with this. I also want to recognize we ended last year with a $500,000 surplus. We're sitting right now with a $491,000 surplus. If we take that Hartford expense out that Mr. Butwell put in there, that's an optimistic view, right? A conservative view, if we take that other $40,000 out that he hasn't accounted for in there, would be $319,000. So
We just spent some of it. We just passed a whole bunch of.
that was in the budget on other lines. It was on the budget in other lines. So from a conservative standpoint, $319,000. From an optimistic standpoint, $491,000. We ended last year with a $500,000 surplus. I understand the fiscal responsibility, but I think that there is an opportunity to open this up for discussion of if we think we can work something out. These teachers are the subject matter experts in their areas, and hearing from them has been very, very eye-opening, and I really do want the best for them, but ultimately for the young students that are going into the elementary school and coming out of it. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. And it is, those dollars were in other lines, Mrs. Frank, but I think we just spent those dollars that would have been surplus in other lines. They're not expended already.
No, but Mr. Butwell alluded that he put $132,000 into the budget for Hartford.
That's not what I was talking about. The dollars we just spent on school lunches on.
Yeah.
That's additionally coming out of whatever surplus we had.
It's not 300,000.
No, it was,
That's not how I understood it.
Mr. Butwell, if I could have you come up, because I want to make sure I'm speaking
Or
properly.
maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I want to make sure, because we just talked about this today. Open choice, I forgot about that, so I want to make sure that the expert is speaking Cause there's a lot going on right now. Mr. Butler, I'm positive about open choice. As far as, I do not believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, the money that we just spent, the 23,700, that now we have to decrease again, cause that was not at,
Correct.
okay, and what else? Sorry.
Every amount that we just transferred is gonna be expended
Out of the surplus.
out of the current budget, yes.
Out of the current budget,
So-
because it's in a different line item already.
No, because we haven't, it's sitting in unexpended money right now.
Not in encumbered.
Correct.
Okay, so yes, the answer, Kelly, is we do still have to take the money out, cause it's not under encumbered.
So it was 2312. No, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, there's $20,600, 37,000 and 15,000.
So on the high end,
I don't know, I can't do the math in my head without writing it out.
yeah, so on the very optimistic end, a $419,000 surplus if you take out the Hartford money. And on a very conservative end, if you add that other 40 in, 253. It's still a pretty substantial surplus. I just want everyone to just be aware, but thank you for pointing that out. I did not realize that.
Other comments, Mr. Heisman?
So, I agree, that this should have happened in January, this discussion, right? But I also have a problem with that because these two documents that were provided and handed us to us during the meeting. So the teachers never got a chance to see these documents of the cuts for proposing cutting teachers. So they never had the chance to come in and speak their mind because they didn't see these documents. So that's first. Second, I'm gonna speak a little about my personal experience. Just with my son in schools at ECS, if the teachers there didn't provide the support to him that they have, he would probably be outplaced right now, and that would cost more than that teacher costs us every year. And I think we need to keep pushing kids into the classroom and not push them out of the classroom. And I think it's really important with everything that's going on that we keep this position.
I guess I have a question. Okay.
And I really truly do have a question, I do. The budget discussion is always the same every year. I'm not saying the teachers have to memorize it. We do have discussions with the teachers union about class size, and we did talk about, we do notify people ahead of time respectfully so that they know. So all that does happen. This isn't uncommon to Cromwell at all that people don't pay attention to things because they're doing their job, like they're doing their job. And we were looking at class size as a means, we meaning all of us, right, as a means to save money for the town, because that was a big discussion. But does that mean you can make this change? You might have the money, you may not, you probably will. I will tell you that. But my question for you, truly, I'm not gonna be here, you guys. If I was gonna be here, I'd be nervous. I would be making you sign on the dotted line to promise me that you are gonna support this from now into the future. Because you are making an investment that I'm not saying I don't believe in. But remember, if you take the insurance out, you only gave a 2.77% of an increase. The rest of it was all insurance. And I also want you to know that we are offering a phenomenal plan. So expect that on July 1st, you're going to have people that are going to now, who have never used our insurance plan, they're gonna use it because it's no longer an HSA, it's a PPO. So you may be going into the red, going in. But if you believe that you wanna do that going forward, my God, that would be amazing. I just don't know if you guys, if you can. And that's not up to me, that's up to you. Cause I'll be on the beach, no, I'm kidding. It's not, I'm gonna let everybody else go first, cause they haven't had a chance to. Mr. Zabrowski.
No,
He's not talked about this topic, but go ahead.
I have two for you. As I believe the only current school teacher on the board, I can tell you there's a big difference between 15 students in my room and 13. A noticeable, significant difference in the services I can provide with lower numbers, and so I know that's true. So in that aspect, yeah, I absolutely, support the having this position. I also have a responsibility to the taxpayers of this town to safeguard finances, and Steve brings up a good point that when you're not able to provide more individualized services to your students, whether they are getting specialized services or not, there is a long-term cost. You can move them forward faster with lower numbers. You can help kids who, for example, kids who are struggling in math. You can provide more individualized services in a smaller class size that helps them recover what they're missing, and gets them back up to speed. So as far as those things have been said by everyone who's presented tonight and the people here at this table, I think that the lower numbers are better. I understand there's a cost. Kelly brings up a good point with the budget, but something Angie just said really struck me, and that is we needed the teachers to agree to change their plan for medical coverage in order to make our budget more workable. If the teachers union had said, no, we're not willing to look at this new plan, we want to stay with Cigna, with HSA, contractually, they had to work with the board and specifically with Dr. Macri to allow the change to be made in the, with regard to the insurance, so that we could go from, I think it was a 34% down to a 23%. That did impact our budget, and that impacted our budget in a positive way. It made it more manageable. So that, I think that also, it needs to be considered. They made a sacrifice and they worked with us, and I think we owe it to them to at least consider this, because they considered us and they considered our budgetary needs when they did that.
I'm gonna jump in and respond to you on that one, because the plan, I just wanna make sure people know, the plan that we moved to was a richer plan that was, yes, less costly to the board and but less costly all around. And if we didn't move to that plan, I'd be very afraid of what other deep cuts we would have to make. I think that would be a lot scarier if we didn't make that decision. And absolutely, I appreciate that was done in partnership with our teachers. Steve, I think that document that you showed us, I don't think we voted on it the night we received it. I think we received it and then we had a subsequent meeting, so I just wanna make sure.
Neither one of them were on the agenda.
We had about
No,
four
but
meetings. They were
we
in the
had
minutes.
they were provided and they were handed out
in the minutes.
subsequent meetings, subsequent opportunity for public comment. I just wanna make sure that we're
Same.
all
I don't
clear
wanna
on
blame
timeline.
anybody or anything, but they were definitely in the minutes, but I don't wanna,
Yeah,
I don't wanna place anybody.
But I do generally
I didn't
have.
look at the minutes,
Yeah,
so
they
they're
were in the
there.
minutes.
But I genuinely have a question. So my question is, what do we do if we figure out some way financially to add that position back into the budget? What is the impact with class sizes? And we have class sizes, as I'm looking at these WIS numbers, that are significantly higher. How do we address the concerns? I'm not being tongue in cheek, I'm being serious. What do we do next year when Woodside teachers come to us and say, our class sizes are unmanageable and it is untenable for us to have a class size of 20? Is that in the sweet spot? Probably towards the top end of the sweet spot. And how are we going to address it if we make this change this year at ECS for first grade? Or how do we change it for second grade if it's an issue for second grade? I'm just worried about sustainability of any kind of change we put into place. So just a, maybe it's a rhetorical question, but I want us to think about that, because it will be an issue we will have to deal with if we create one group of students that have significantly smaller class sizes than the rest of the district.
I also think it's important, just to draw your attention back, don't forget about the kindergarten class. If all 29 of those kids show up, you're gonna have 17 kids in kindergarten. So you're going to have to come back, I would think, in August, and remember, you can always do that too, right? You can always, who's sitting here today doesn't mean they're gonna be sitting here in a few months. But you're gonna have to keep an eye on that kindergarten classroom. If you're putting 16 if you're gonna say 14, 15 kids in first grade, you're looking at a potential 17 kids in kindergarten as well, if every one of the kids that was screened, registers. I don't know if they will register or not. We have no idea. We can't make parents register any faster than, we've done everything, outreach, we've done everything that we possibly could.
Does anybody else wanna weigh in that hasn't made a comment, Mr. Schuman?
I'm just trying to understand, it's been a long time since I had kids in elementary school. 29 people just floating around and, maybe yes, maybe no, I don't understand that.
So there's 29 students that have been screened. They came in, they showed up, they've been screened. Their parents have not officially registered them. So the way Cromwell is, remember when we had the conversation about letting students come to school, if they're age 4, so that's gonna change too, by the way, because it has changed legislatively, correct, Carrie? So you're going to have less kindergartners, which will then decrease your enrollment anyway, in the future. This is the last year that we're allowing 4-year-olds to come, to school. Those parents most likely had their kids screened, and they're probably struggling to make a decision. Am I gonna send my kid to school, kindergarten? Am I gonna keep them in preschool for another year? It's up to them.
Is 29 a higher number, or is it, I mean, it's
29 is the exact number.
No,
of what we have.
Year over year, is it that many people kind of?
I would say it's pretty average.
And how many on it?
Yeah, I would say that right
30
now.
on a fence, how many help?
Yeah, Karen, really, between now and June, it's possible that all 29 register.
Oh, absolutely, and then you also have to remember.
Wait, if you're gonna, I'm sorry, if you're
Carrie,
gonna speak, you gotta go.
so I'm just gonna have her speak
Sorry.
because, yes, your answer is historically have these kids read, why would you not? It's free.
So the answer to that is yes, that very well could happen. I also want you to be mindful that even though we have signs out everywhere, come register your kids for kindergarten, we have a lot of last minute registrations. We're down to the wire, and even that first week of school, we're placing kids in kindergarten classes. So to answer your question.
So it's 29.
We had one year where we had slated for WIS, we had 25 kids walk in the door. We've never seen anything like it in Cromwell. I've seen it a million times next door, but never in Cromwell. That happened once. We had to open another class in August.
Mrs. Lamb.
All right, I've been very quiet tonight. I'm in deep learning mode, deep listening mode. So out of genuine curiosity, we're kind of talking about rolling the dice with numbers. What's it going to be? We're not really sure. It sounds like that's a similar situation every year. What is the possibility of having another, say, 1-year contract?
You don't have a bubble. It is what it is.
Yeah.
There's no, but we had bubbles. Trust me. I was like, oh my God, how many kids? Because at one point at ECS, I had over 500 kids. This year I have 380. We've had graduating classes that were humongous, and I believe that was 3 years ago, Andrew. Yeah, it was huge.
Right?
Oh yeah, I remember 3 years. It was huge. You don't have that bubble, and I am by no means am I saying you. That's why I keep bringing you back to sustainability, right?
Right.
If you make a decision to do this, then you're making a decision, or you're going to disappoint teachers later. You're going to disappoint people. Once you make this decision, listen, hire 2, because you might have 17 kids in kindergarten. But once you make this decision to do it, based on all of the data right now, you're making a decision to do this, and I would be devastated for these teachers if they had class sizes for a year or 2 of 14, and then they had to go back and have class sizes of 23 and 24. That would make me more upset as a teacher, because you know what? You guys may not be sitting here. So I just want you to know that for me, put 10 kids in a class. Like, my responsibility is to tell you the truth and the facts. And then you make the decision, but this is not a bubble of up or down. This is.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it,
No.
but in terms of keeping the class size balance that we're talking about, there may be, is there a way to provide some flexibility so that we are still doing it? I mean,
Do you want do you want 17 kids in kindergarten and 14 and 15 in grade 1 right now? This is what I'm talking about. Like, we have to think realistically right now. That's what I'm telling you. They're not seated there, but it's potential. So are you looking at 2 teachers, and then what happens after that? And then what if you run out of money? And then what if? So when I had the discussion about the $520,000 that I thought we were gonna get, that we didn't get, it was the town was really nervous about the mill rate going up. They thought they were gonna have to cut things. That was the discussion that I had. So I don't, unless something changes with the unless something changes with the way we look at school systems and public education and class sizes, you're approving something for a year or 2 years, kindergarten, first grade, but this is a long-term issue. And then what could possibly happen is, if we continue to, you may have to close the school. So that's something that is happening in plenty of communities right now. That's every time you turn on the news, and people are fighting like crazy. And I went through that once. You don't want to go through that.
Okay, Mrs. Russ and then Mrs. Cantwell.
So first off, I appreciate all the comments, public, written in, all the board members, and what everybody is saying. I really wish this was a more lively discussion in the middle of our budget process, because we did talk about it in the middle of our budget process. You know, the information was put in the minutes, but we also discussed it. So, and even getting texts that I got like the day before, the week before. I mean, why weren't you saying anything?
I will tell you that I did have this discussion with the administration, and the administration notified.
And so, what we have done in the past, because there have been those bubble grades. I had a kid in a bubble grade, and I had a kid right behind the bubble grade. And I understand that there's a lot of different things happening in the school right now. I'll get back to the bubble grades in a second. There are a lot of different things happening in the school. There's a lot of different things happening in the classroom with these students. There's a tremendous amount of services that are provided now to students and to help teachers than there were when my bubble grade kids went through. So they've shifted teachers around, they've moved things around, putting in a temporary position. I don't know if that's the answer. And we don't know where our budget's gonna lay out at the end of this year, especially with this Hartford thing. It's already changed once. Who knows if they're gonna change it again? We're gonna have to most likely pay attorney fees that go along with this. So I'm more inclined to wait and see what happens with enrollment closer to the start of the school year. We've done that in the past. We've said, okay, we're not gonna add a teacher in. Let's wait. Oh, look, okay, now we have X number of kids that came, the class sizes went up too much. Let's add a teacher to bring it back down again.
I'm a product of a teacher that was hired in August 4th in 1996. I said, I'm a product of an August 4th, 93 teacher that got hired last minute because of situations like this.
But
You can wait until August.
But some of the other schools have already, they know, they hear what's happening, and some people have said, what do you mean? They're gonna get these low class sizes, and what are we gonna get? Are we gonna get anything? Or, I mean, we have X number of kids in a class that's higher than what they have. Why aren't we gonna get an extra teacher? We have to come up with a sustainable number that will keep the kids in the learning mode at all levels and all teachers engaged. And we do have to look at it across the board and a little bit more than just the year that's in front of us. We have to look at what's gonna happen. Or do we wanna take all our class sizes and decrease them down to 13 or 14 students in a class? We have to add a lot of teachers for that. We work hard on this budget every year, and this year's was definitely difficult, not the most difficult I've worked on, but we have to look at it as a whole picture. So I'm hesitant to say, yeah, let's hire a teacher. Look at our numbers right now. I'm hesitant. And the overage that we have last year, we're paying a good chunk of that is going out for the new track to be done. We already agreed to that. So are we gonna put this in as a temporary or a long-term sub, or are we gonna do this as a teacher that's just added in year over year? So I really think that we need to wait and see where our numbers numbers fall out closer to the start of the school year. I'm really hesitant to add a teacher in. It was a long-term sub position to start with for a reason. So
can I just want to talk about,
Can we let Catherine finish her thoughts?
So I'm just concerned about making a change to decrease the class size for one grade when across the board we have to look at our district as a whole.
okay.
Dr. Macri.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to just explain this. It was a long-term substitute, 1-year contract. We had two, this year. Notified, we did everything the way we're supposed to do. Mr. Moore was unbelievable in HR. We cover ourselves. We follow a tenure law and notifications. You guys made that. I wish I was here so I could have helped you through this conversation in April. But my mom was just a little more important that night. But I was watching from the hospital. We then, in turn, the teacher that this person was subbing for chose to resign to raise her child, and that's a wonderful thing, right? I'm so happy for her. That is the definition of attrition. The definition of attrition is when someone leaves and you do not have to replace them because you don't have a full-time replacement in there for them. So we did exactly what you do through attrition. That's the definition. Did we reduce the amount of the teachers? Yes, but it was no one with a contract with further than a year and an expectation that they would be hired was let go. It would have been a different process. There would have been a pink slip process. It would have been a little different. I also want you to know, and again, I'm just giving you the facts. No matter what, I have had many complaints, and so has Dr. McLean, that we have English class sizes of 26 at the high school. So you want to keep all this in mind as well. This is going to be difficult. I think you should. I'm not saying let it go, but you have time. I'm not going to be here. Someone else is going to be here. I don't want to fluff it onto somebody else because I am all about the difficult decisions, and I am who I am. So I don't know. We don't know who and we're going to walk in and out the door. We really don't. We never do. And Cromwell has become more transient than it ever has been. You see the enrollment. But the numbers are here. They're right.
Mrs. Cantwell.
Yeah, you answered my question. That's what I was gonna ask about the details on the long-term sub, how that came to be. So I'm just thinking about if that teacher hadn't left, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but what do you think would have happened this year? Would you have proposed? What would you have proposed? Would you have proposed? Proposing that teacher, keeping the class size? That's my question. If that teacher hadn't have left, we were in this situation, would you have proposed keeping 7 classrooms, or would you have moved that teacher to a different grade? Like, how do you?
It would have caused a huge bumping issue. Maybe we would have reduced class sizes, or increase. We would have had to look at everything. But the truth of it is, what I have, I knew at that point. I didn't know until the 1st of April that teacher wasn't coming back, and you had this in front of you. So I may have had to cut someone with a contract longer than a 1-year contract. That could have possibly, when you guys made that decision, I just give you the information. And I did talk about it. I hope you all remember that I did talk about it. I got a big thank you from Amy Carta. I did talk about that. But the decision was made. And I understand why you made the decision. I just want to go back there and have everybody understand. And I'm not blaming you, and you shouldn't be blaming me. This is a situation, and you guys have to think about it.
Yeah, we're not blaming.
I think it's I know, you're right.
Yeah, I think we all voted on the information we had in front of us, and yeah, no one's blaming each other. I think we're just trying to move forward now and do the best thing, so.
Agreed.
It's a very difficult decision, and I'm very appreciative for everyone coming out and sharing their perspective with us. And this is tough, right? This is hard.
It's awful.
I'm inclined, I'm listening to both sides.
We're on the same side.
Yeah, I know, yeah, there's not two sides. We all want all want the best thing at the end of the day for students, so, and for teachers. You know, if we are in a situation at the end of the summer where we get a huge bump, we can, you know, certainly revisit this, but I think right now maybe we should stick with what we voted on, but that's.
All right, Matt and then Donna, but I'm gonna say let's try to put an end to this because it's already almost 9 o'clock and I wanna make sure that we move, and I know there's a lot of people that have been sitting around here very patiently waiting, and I wanna be considerate of them.
I was just gonna motion that we move to end discussion and put it to a vote to either move forward, table it, or end it here. We've all said a lot, we had a lot of really good points. For my part, I feel like, you know, what Catherine just said, this isn't something that has to be decided right now, and we're also, if we decide it right now, we'd be making that decision on information that's not guaranteed, and that it's too big of a decision both for the teacher in question and our schools and our taxpayers, and it's not something we need to do today, but we certainly would need to make a decision before the beginning of the school year. So I think that no side leaves disappointed today if we do that, but my motion is to end discussion and table this until we have more information at the end of July, beginning of August, and I'm looking for a second.
Second, motion made by Mr. Zabrowski, seconded by Mrs. Lamb. Anybody have any other comments? I'm gonna call to a vote. Do you wanna make a comment on his motion?
No.
Okay. Do you have another comment? Well, we have to act on his motion now, because
I
Matt made the motion and, okay. Motion to end discussion.
Motion to end discussion and table this until the end.
Okay, so Matt, can you put your mic on? Can you just repeat your motion, please?
Sure, I made a motion to end discussion, and table this issue until the end of July or beginning of August, and I believe Jessica seconded my motion, so now.
So I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor of supporting Matt's motion to end discussion, table this until the end of July, August, whenever we have clear enrollment information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Motion passes, but I very much appreciate that this was a very difficult, very thoughtful conversation.
This is democracy in action.
Okay, I'm gonna try to move this along really quickly because we still have to have a superintendent search committee meeting as quickly as possible. AI update, can we just say it's in the packet and not have a discussion about it?
Again, everything is in there. We worked
Okay.
hard this year. You can read it. I think it came out really great. We're still making little tiny tweaks to it, but otherwise, I think we're in really good shape and it should be posted, and sent out very soon.
Okay, thank you. In your packet, reference H, new club activity. It is a proposal to start a Model United Nations at the middle school. It is in your packet. Is there a motion to approve their request to start a new club? Motion by Mrs. Russ, seconded by Mrs. Maddie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Okay, motion passes. Out-of-state field trips, those are in your packet, reference I. Is there a motion to approve the out-of-state field trips as presented? Motion by Mrs. Cantwell, seconded by Mr. Schuman. All in favor? Abstentions? Opposed? Motion passes. Healthy Food Certification Lunch Program, reference J. This is also an action item. I don't know what the action is being requested. Mr. Butwell, can you tell us what the action is being requested? And you're gonna have to go to the microphone, because I don't know what we're asked to do. Maybe you could frame a motion for us.
Do you happen to have it?
Do you need a minute? We can go back to it.
Okay. So this is the, it's a healthy food certification statement put together by our food and nutrition coordinator. And basically, these would be the guidelines that we would need to follow in order to continue to be part of the healthy food certification program and the reimbursement that goes with it.
So you need a motion to approve the guidelines as presented in this document. Would that suffice?
Yes, I think you want to approve the healthy food certification statement.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the healthy food certification statement, reference J? Motion by Mr. Zabrowski, I saw a hand, seconded by Mrs. Cantwell, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed, abstaining? Motion passes. Approval of minutes and motions from the, thank you, Mr. Bowen. April 7th, regular meeting, reference K in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes and motions? Mrs. Lamb, seconded by Mr. Zabrowski, all in favor? Anybody abstain? Mr. Schumann, abstain. Mrs. Russ, anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of minutes and motions for April 21st special meeting, reference L in your packet. Is there a motion to approve? Motion Mrs. Russ, second by Mrs. Lamb, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes. In your packet, there is an informational update from the Human Resources Department, thank you, Mr. Morrow, on personnel activity and personnel action. I just want to point out a congratulations to our own Mr. Botwell, who in your packet is announcing his retirement. I know, we are so, I'm trying. Oh, we're not sure we wanna clap. We're kind of disappointed over here.
I went along with it out of respect for him.
Some of us may have booed your announcement, but.
I appreciate some of the support.
You appreciate some of the support. We're grateful to you for all of your service, both as our principal and managing our finances and helping us navigate some really challenging fiscal decisions. And we will miss you greatly.
Thank you, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you. And another congratulations to Steve O'Leary, who is retiring effective August 26th. I'm sorry, I'm missing the position title. Maintainer. He's been our maintainer. So thank you very much to him for his service. We wish him the best. Moving on to principal reports. Those are in your packet, no action needed. I will point out the principal reports do include enrollment data and some really important pieces of information, so we should keep an eye on those because that's gonna help us with our prior conversation. There was no policy committee, so we have no update. Facilities and Technology Committee minutes are in packet. Thank you, Mrs. Franklin, for putting those together. Reference R. Topics for future agenda items are also included under topics for future agenda items. So those are there. If anybody has any additional agenda items you would like discussed, speak now. Okay, Mrs. Russ.
I'd like to add to one of the agenda items over the summer, maybe, talking about adding in more honors, or some honors classes. I know there's one teacher that's creating their own, classes at the high school level, because we don't really have any, like, aside from this one teacher taking initiative, so I'd like to add some honors classes at the high school level.
Do you want to do that in June or July and August?
July and August.
July and August, okay. Is everybody okay with that? Mr. Zabrowski, you have
Do we
enough?
need to add the enrollment update for kindergarten first, or is that just a given?
I think we asked that as a regular update from, I think that's something we would want in our
I think so
principal.
too, I just didn't know if we need to list it in these items.
I think it should be something we look at regularly, and it is in the principal reports. Not in detail the way that it was provided tonight, but there is data. Okay, I just wanna let everybody know, we will have to have a special meeting in June, and that will be to talk about a couple of contracts and to also to interview finalists for some of the positions that are being advertised right now. So I will work with all of you on a good date in June. We have our June 2nd meeting, but that's too soon for us to do some of those things.
There's another meeting in June, so are you talking about a third meeting in June?
Right now, I think we only have one meeting scheduled for June, and it's June 2nd, so we're gonna need another meeting later in
But
June.
it says here, it has 2 June.
Those are just topics.
Oh, okay, gotcha, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to comments, updates, and announcements from board members. And Mr. Heisman, can I start with you? Nothing? Okay. Mrs. Lamb?
We started the night with a lot of discussion on and celebrating students and staff and faculty on the amazing leadership. I also want to shout out to the arts department. Hopefully all of you had a chance to take a look at the display as we were walking in. You know, whether it's our artists here that are on the wall, it's just absolutely phenomenal and breathtaking. And I've also had an opportunity, you know, to go to the CMS performance last week. It's just amazing what we're doing throughout this district, and supporting the arts and our students. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that group.
Mrs. Russ? Mrs. Russ? I'm good. Mrs. Cantwell? Mrs. Franklin?
Yeah, I just want to give a really heartfelt thank you to Megan, Julie, Chrissy, and Gina. They are the ECS and RISC PTO, and this is they had their last meeting today as a group, and they've just done such phenomenal things for the teachers and for the students in those grades. So just a really heartfelt thank you to all 4 of them.
It's really nice. Thank you. Mr. Schuman, you good? Mrs. Maddie?
Wonderful arts, all the things that the kids do here. It really comes down to who these teachers and coaches, and by coaches I mean their club coaches are, and it wouldn't be done without them, and I just want to say one more time. I know personally, my family was adversely affected by the way I worked as a teacher, and I don't think if you have ever been in teaching, you could possibly understand what it means to work as hard as some of these people do, especially the people who are doing tremendous numbers of papers to correct, essays, teaching writing. I saw grammar by the writing club person. Boy, it's amazing. So all of these things that you see that are so wonderful, we've said it before, if we didn't have the best teachers, we couldn't do it. And I just wanna say that, and I know we all feel that way, but
Donna, no love for the special ed teachers.
what? All
All
the
right.
teachers.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. We're all good. I'm gonna adjourn our special Board of Education meeting. I will ask everybody to just stick around and we'll try to find a quiet place to do another quick meeting. So thank you so much. Meeting adjourned at